about 4 meters to my front, there was like a shallow bowl in the ground.
Yeah.
So I had to look around, assess the terrain. I thought, okay, if we get in there, get on our bellies, anyone that's looking up at us is going to have a really difficult time to see us, which means they're going to have a really difficult time trying to engage us with AK-47s, rockets, or whatever. So given the terrain and the scenario and the environment, that in my mind was the best option for us. So I jumped in. The other half of the section jumped over to section commander and started taking fire positions. The lads in my half of the section started taking their fire positions. And then when they were happy and they were firm, they gave me the thumbs up. And then I walked over to the position that I selected for myself. And as I went to get on my stomach, I put my right knee on the floor and knelt on and detonated the improvised explosive device.
Now, here's a question for you then. As horrible as it may sound, if you could go back in time, just before you stepped on that IED,
Nah.
you wouldn't.
No. I don't think. I
You wouldn't change it.
genuinely mean that.
You wouldn't change it. You wouldn't step on. So if you go back in time to that moment, knowing the life you got now, you would still step on it.
Yeah.
That's fucking incredibly powerful. Welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Beast. Today's guest is a true British hero, a Royal Marine Commando, and the first triple amputee from the Afghanistan conflict. He is one of the most inspiring human beings I have ever met. Welcome to the podcast, Mark Ormrod. How are you, brother?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. How are you doing?
I feel all right. It's the summer holidays. I've got my boy Mason with me, taking him around the country, doing what I do on a pretty regular basis, just trying to keep him entertained and show him a bit of what Dad does, because I'm sure like you, we're here, there and everywhere all over the world and doing our thing, and it's always lovely when you can bring him with you, but it's not always possible. So
yeah, school gets in the way, eh, Mason?
Yeah. So yeah.
So that's. I mean, look, I see you online, and you are just busy all the time. There's you're somewhere different almost every single day of the week.
Yes. Yeah.
What's that doing, man? Like, you keep yourself so active. Is it all for the charity, or is it work? How do you fill those days?
So I do a lot of different things, and when people ask me, post-military, as a civilian, what I do for a living, I don't really know what to tell them. So I just kind of, and I always get imposter syndrome when I say this, I just put it all under the banner of entrepreneur, because my main source of income is as and I hate this term as well, motivational speaker. So I travel around the world, sharing my story with corporates, organizations, schools, whatever it is, whoever wants to listen. And that's the main way I earn an income. But then things splinter off of that, so I've got a couple of books in production right now. I'm also the director and the chief exec of a new company me and some friends started in January, a veteran ran and owned company delivering leadership consultancy and virtual mentoring. So, starting a company, as I'm sure you're aware, is a very busy time. So we're doing that. And then you mentioned charity, lots of work with many different military charities, mainly Reorg, which uses
I'm familiar with that.
fitness and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to help rehabilitate people. So there's a million different things all the time. And as we said, it can be very, very tiring, but it's also, what's the word? I'm very, very grateful for it, because I get to travel a lot, meet a lot of people, see a lot of cool things, and do a lot of cool things.
It looks cool. It looks really cool from the outside, man. Looks like you're having a blast.
Yes, I am. We are.
Good.
We are.
Good. Let's get stuck into the piece of the beast segment. So I always ask my guests to bring in an artifact or a picture of something that means a lot to them.
Okay.
Have you brought that picture or artifact or something with you?
I did bring a picture.
Okay.
The reason I didn't bring an artifact is because I no longer have it,
Okay.
and it's a bit cumbersome. So it is a picture of me.
Is it your wife?
That's my wife, Becky.
Is she the thing that's a bit cumbersome? Or?
No, she is not. Don't listen to him, Becky. You're lovely. It's the wheelchair.
It's the wheelchair, okay.
In the picture. And the reason behind that image and why I chose it is, and I'm sure we'll get into this a bit later, but after I was injured in Afghanistan, and I spent 6 weeks in hospital initially, in intensive care, and what's called the bones and plastics ward recovering. 3 weeks into my recovery, the UK's leading amputation specialist told me, because I had lost both my legs above the knee and my dominant arm above the elbow, that I had zero chance of living life outside of a wheelchair.
Right.
And that picture is me the last day that I ever used a wheelchair before I flew out to America to undergo an intense boot camp. And I gave the chair away, so I no longer have it. And that was the day I flew out, was the 9th of June 2009. So I haven't used a wheelchair since.
Wow. So this wheelchair depicts basically your willpower to be like, F you life.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to restrict me to this chair. I am going to make my way, learn how to walk on prosthetics and live as normal life as possible.
Absolutely. And restrict is the perfect word. And today, I walk around all the time on prosthetics, and just that habit, I look at situations and scenarios and imagine how difficult they would be in a wheelchair. And like coming to the studio, right? Yeah. You get in that front door, you've got a footstep to get in here, and then like 15 quite steep stairs to get up here. I couldn't do that in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, the guys said to me, does he need help getting up here? I said, trust me, I think he'll be okay. He's quite an active guy. Like, the stuff you do is amazing.
But in that chair, no chance.
So for those listening in, it's a picture of Mark in his wheelchair. You look very young here, I guess 2009. So a couple of years after your incident.
I was 26 maybe?
26?
No, 25.
25. And what are you now?
I am 42 tomorrow.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
God, it goes fast, doesn't it? So,
I know.
So how many years ago is that? It's like
well, you're 13,
16
Mason,
years ago?
And he wasn't born, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 16 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those listening, it's Mark's in a wheelchair. He's 25. He's got his wife latched around his arms. And you both look happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she was just laughing at my shitty haircut. In that picture, I look like
which
Lord
you couldn't
Christmas.
really do much about.
No. But yeah, it was because, like I said, I was just about to go out on this, let's call it an adventure, take this huge risk, but we both knew the payoff was going to be massive. If I could get through this 3 weeks, which physically and mentally was absolutely brutal, but if I could get through that, then I knew that the rest of my life was going to be a whole lot better than it was, or would have been, if I was restricted to that wheelchair. So I think it was kind of like a nervous anticipation of what was to come.
Well, geez, man, I can't envision that. I mean, like, it's like when you get a new mouth guard, in fighting, and you put it in, and it's super uncomfortable, and everyone just wants to take it out, but you have to persevere and sort of get through that uncomfy bit to get used to it.
Right.
But that's a bit of a shit example compared to losing three limbs, but that is just for those listening in, that's a great example of like getting through that hard transition period.
But it's funny you say that, because when I first put the prosthetics on, that is exactly how it felt. Like I just wanted to rip them off. They felt uncomfortable. It was like this foreign thing on my body. I didn't want it. And, you had all these straps on, and you got sweaty and clammy, and it's just horrible. And, when you're missing both your legs above the knee, it takes you between 300 and 500% more energy to do anything than an able-bodied person. So when I first put them on, and you've got to bear in mind, at 24, 25 years old, I still had that, that young man's ego, especially being a Royal Marine. And I thought I could just put these limbs on and walk. And I did like one length of these parallel bars the first time I did it, and I was done for the day.
Yeah.
I just wanted to rip them off.
Yeah.
I had to nap like every day for weeks. I had to go and have a nap kind of halfway through the day.
I can't imagine the core strength it would take to getting used to that balance. And I'd imagine that was so physically and more so mentally draining, just doing that process and fighting those demons in your head, like carry on, keep going.
Yeah. And because of the ego, you would finish at the end of the day and you would get pissed off. You're like, how have I gone from running 30 miles across Dartmoor with this big pack on my back and doing all these crazy physically demanding things to not being able to walk 5 meters?
Yeah.
And so you just have this argument with yourself about how shit you've become.
Yeah.
Not really understanding the path that you're just about to walk on.
Yeah. I mean, you use the word ego. I don't think that's the right word to you. I mean, it's like you've been obviously like a Royal Marine Commando is like the top 0.1% of humans on the planet in terms of fitness, physical strength, mental strength, and then you've just had all that snatched away, and you're limited to these apparatus, and I don't know what the right word is. It's your confidence. I don't know. It's not ego though. It's
yeah. I don't know what it was. I just know it was rough, and because I was the first triple amputee, it was also very lonely.
Yes, yeah.
It's like who do I talk to about this? There were guys that had lost a leg, maybe two.
Yeah.
Maybe someone lost an arm. Someone had been shot, and they'd gone through trauma.
Yeah.
But I used to sit in, when I left hospital, went to rehab, we were in like 6-man rooms.
Yeah.
I'd see that the guy across from me who maybe lost a foot, get up in the morning, pop his foot on and walk. And there's me an hour, 40 minutes later, still trying to get these legs on, sweating. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I just used to get so like angry and feel so alone. Like why am I the one who's had to have the extreme injuries? And why has this happened to me? And it was brutal. And ego is the only thing I can think to call it, but I kind of had to put my ego to the side, like very early on, very quickly, to try and deal with this.
Yeah, and like, this is your situation, get on with it kind of thing. Yeah,
and also humble myself a little bit and understand, because you do. I mean, if there's any Royal Marine paratrooper who ever listened to this, they'll probably agree that it is a bit of ego, because you get told you're the best at this and the best at that.
Yeah.
And then it felt like you get knocked to the bottom of the pile again, and you're just shit at everything.
Yeah, I guess you're trained that way. You're trained to have a big ego because you've got to believe they're the best. Right. You've got to believe you're the fittest. You've got to believe that you're the strongest. You haven't got that mindset, then that's when you get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
And end up not performing to 100%. Talk to us about the incident, was it a landmine that you stepped on?
So
an IED, is that what
it was called? An IED, so it was an improvised explosive device. Okay. So there's 100 different types of landmines, right? And if you were to put them into two categories, you've got an anti-personnel and an anti-vehicle. So this was an anti-personnel mine, which is designed to maim somebody, not kill them. So it will blow your foot off, all your friends come to help you, and then what the enemy tend to do is come over the hill with the AKs and kill everyone.
Right. So it's like a signal almost.
Yeah.
They hear it and then everyone
and they know that everyone's going to have their guard
paying
down.
Their attention on you.
Right.
Yeah, got you.
But what these guys did was they took an anti-personnel mine and they put the warhead of a 107mm Chinese rocket on top of it, which is like a shoulder-launched rocket which will take the side of a house off.
Yeah.
So I knelt on the 107 warhead. That put pressure on the anti-personnel mine. Then the plates in the anti-personnel mine touch. That explodes. Then the warhead explodes, and then I explode.
Wow! So you got a double whammy there.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was. It was Christmas Eve, actually, 2007.
Christmas Eve, of all the days of the year,
yeah,
to do something Christmas Eve, that like just plays havoc in everyone's head, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
timing as well.
You would think, I guess, the way humans operate, that being Christmas and a time of celebration, that your guard would be down and you maybe drop your standards a little, but we didn't. That wasn't the case at all. We were out on a patrol like we had been many times before. This
is it in Afghanistan, and you were out patrolling. And what would you do on these patrols? You patrol around the base, or was it just like a village? Talk me through that.
So it would depend. If we had intelligence on things like enemy locations or weapon caches, then we would patrol, disrupt those positions, destroy or confiscate those weapon caches. We would go out on, I guess you can call them like humanitarian patrols. So we take food and water to the local villagers and try and give them a better quality of life. Every kind of patrol we went on was slightly different and a different objective. But this one was like you said, we'd been restricted to camp for about 4 days and we got the green light to leave. And all we were effectively doing was walking out the back gate in 2 sections, 8 men in each section. One was told to go north, one was told to go south. They said patrol the immediate perimeter of camp, pushing no more than 300 meters from the perimeter wall, and then meet at the front entrance and come back in.
Yep.
So compared to what we had done, this was nothing. It was just like go out the back door, go for a little walk, come in the front door. Now, I was second in command of the section that went north. The other guys went south. We went out and did our patrol. We got about 5.5 hours into it, and then we ended up at the front entrance of camp, ready to finish up for the day. And the section that I was in, we're on this high piece of ground. And then just beneath that, as we looked down, we could see the camp that we were kind of living and working out of. And then down beneath that was that other group of men that we left with.
Mm-hmm.
So being on high ground, tactically, we're in a very advantageous position because not only can you see everything around you, but in a firefight, it's a lot easier to fight going downhill than it is up.
Yeah.
So our job in that scenario was to give protection for that other group. They would get into camp, get behind the perimeter wall where they were safer, return the favor, we peel off the high feature, go back in. Nothing that we hadn't done a million times before. Now, what you want to do if you're out patrolling and you go far and you stop is you want to get cover behind a building or a wall or a tree or anything that's going to give you what we call cover from view and cover from fire. Mm. We were on this high piece of ground, which is effectively a ridge line, and we didn't have any of those luxuries. But about 4 meters to my front, there was like a shallow bowl in the ground.
Yeah.
So I had to look around, assess the terrain. I thought, okay, if we get in there, get on our bellies, anyone that's looking up at us is going to have a really difficult time to see us, which means they're going to have a really difficult time trying to engage us with AK-47s, rockets, or whatever. So given the terrain and the scenario and the environment, that in my mind was the best option for us. So I jumped in. The other half of the section jumped over to section commander and started taking fire positions. The lads in my half of the section started taking their fire positions. And then when they were happy and they were firm, they gave me the thumbs up. And then I walked over to the position that I selected for myself. Mm. And as I went to get on my stomach, I put my right knee on the floor and knelt on and detonated the improvised explosive device.
Wow. So it was all like an ordinary patrol in essence. Mm-hmm. And the fact that just this one spot did you ever have like metal detectors? How do you usually?
Yeah, we did have those. We didn't have them on that particular patrol, but people were using them. But
it'd been patrolled so many times before.
Well, in terms of the metal detectors, the enemy knew what we were doing and they changed their tactics. So they started using plastics, syringes, whatever they could that wasn't metal to set these things up so that they didn't trigger the metal detectors. But looking back, I was a 24-year-old. I didn't know that much about tactics and terrain and strategy. But obviously these people in their country have been doing it for years and years and years. Yeah. So they knew that someone like me would come along and go, oh, that's the best form of cover they've got, this little bow. There's no bit. So why don't we lace it with IEDs? I didn't think that way back then because I was too young and dumb. So they knew exactly what we were going to do. And I did exactly what they wanted us to do. And I walked in there, knelt on this thing.
So set a trap.
Yeah,
essence,
exactly. Yeah.
Talk us through that, mate. I mean, you were obviously conscious during that. Were you conscious after the bomb went off or you're unconscious?
Conscious.
You're conscious?
Throughout all of it, yeah.
So you'd lost your limbs.
Yeah.
Talk us through that, if you don't mind, please, Mark. Step by step.
Right. So you've got to imagine what the terrain was like that we were working in. So it was very, very sandy, very, very dusty. So when this IED exploded, it created a huge dust cloud. Now, initially, I had no idea what I had done. I wasn't in any pain. I didn't feel anything. My adrenaline had spiked. My fight or flight had kicked in. And I thought that we were under attack. I thought someone had seen us and they had sent a rocket or a mortar on our position that had exploded nearby. And we were about to get into a firefight. Now, behind me, about 600 meters to the rear on that low ground, there was a small group of trees, like a rectangular forestry block, and everything else around that area was just flat mud fields. So my first thought, my instinct when this thing exploded and I thought we're under attack was, we're under attack, ID the enemy, start shooting. Yeah. When you start shooting, the lads will start shooting. About 300 meters away in camp, we had this massive HMG machine gun that would have just tore that forest in half. And so even though I couldn't see anything, I knew that this little forestry block was about 600 meters behind me. So I started saying in my mind, turn around, Mark, turn around. ID the enemy, start shooting. And after, I think it was about 5, maybe 6 times in my mind of telling myself to turn around, even though I couldn't see anything and it was chaotic and overwhelming and confusing, I knew that my body wasn't doing what my brain was telling it to do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why. And so I thought, well, what do I do here? In this scenario, what do I do? And I thought, okay, I'll just wait. I'll wait till this dust cloud settles. I'll look around, see what's going on, observe the situation, make some very quick decisions, and then hopefully get everyone out of there without anyone being hurt or anyone being killed. So we got to about chest height, and I looked around, and I'm terrified at this point that some of my friends could have been hurt or killed, but I couldn't see any of them because they'd been blasted out of the area. So I carried on waiting, and the dust cloud got about 6 inches from the floor, hit the ground, and then disappeared. And I looked down to where my legs should have been, and they had pretty much just been completely torn off from their knees down. Now, anyone listening to this who's ever been in any sort of a traumatic accident will get what I'm saying here. It's a very surreal experience. So that I wasn't in any pain. I think my brain really struggled to process what it was looking at, and it all felt very overwhelming and confusing. And it was like I was in a dream.
Yeah.
It didn't really seem real. And I think time gets very distorted as well, but I think I was only really looking at this mess where my legs were for about 2 or 3 seconds. And then I instantly snapped out of it and thought about the rest of my team. So I started looking around again. And I didn't really know what I was looking at. It was so overwhelming. And I looked over my right shoulder, and then I saw Corporal Helsby, who was the guy in charge. And me and Sean went through training together back in 2001. I knew him quite well. And I remember looking at him thinking, why does he look like that? His eyes were huge. His face was drained of color. He was obviously in shock. And so I'm trying to piece together like this mad thing I just looked at with my legs, and then why my friends looking like that. And so I went to look back to my legs. This is all in seconds. And I got to about the 3 o'clock position. And then I saw my arm just like laying in the sand. It was still connected to my body, but from my bicep to my wrist, the whole thing had been ripped open. All the bones in the upper and lower part of my arm had shattered into a million pieces. But my hand was still in relatively good order. And I don't know why I did this, but I just kind of reached down and picked it up.
With your good hand?
With my good hand. Held it in front of my face. Kind of just moved it a little bit, and then dropped it into the sand and just let out this massive scream. Like, as I realized in that moment, we weren't under attack.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that stood on and triggered an IED. Now, the issue here is, because I know what we're trained to do in that scenario, that was one of the main things I was panicking about, because we're trained in that scenario, anyone who's not injured, to not run in to help the casualty.
Yeah.
Because of the risk of setting off other IEDs. And we were working with these American Special Forces guys, and one of their jobs in this incident is to go in and clear the area and write a report. And I've read the report. And there were 6 other improvised explosive devices around me. And I was now in a 12-foot by 15-foot crater.
Wow. So it had blown that big a hole
Yes.
in the ground.
Yes.
12 foot deep.
12 foot deep by 15 foot
wide. And you'd gone up and landed back down in it.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have a clue what happened when it went off. But I was now in the bottom of a 12-foot crater surrounded by 6 other IEDs. And I knew that my mates, the other 7 lads, were trained not to run in.
Yeah.
But also, I had no idea how they'd react, because human beings being human beings, you have emotions and instincts, and sometimes they override the protocol. And I'm thinking, is someone going to come running in? Is someone going to freeze? Is someone going to run? I don't know what's going to happen. And again, this is all like so many thoughts in so little time. But every single one of them lads did everything that they were trained to do to the highest possible standard. I had a 19-year-old on his belly with a bayonet, prodding the ground for other IEDs, and then marking left and right so that when the medic got to me, he could run straight in.
Yeah, wow.
Without any risk.
So they were setting up for you to get help.
Like, instantly. I had another guy coordinating all around defense in case there was a follow-up attack. So we were as well defended as we could be. The guy closest to me was just constantly talking to me because I was in and out of consciousness. And obviously there's another guy straight on the radio calling in what we call a 9-liner, which is a casualty report, to get a medic to get to me and scramble a helicopter in with a medical team on. And they all did it like flawlessly.
And you remember this, even though you're in out consciousness, you just, because I imagine that'd be quite vivid memories as well. Like, even though it's
very chaotic.
In and out, you remember everything because it's such a...
You're like hyper vigilant and aware, but at the same time...
It's like a car crash.
It's exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain it. you kind of feel like you're dreaming and it's not real, but you're hyper vigilant as well, and you take in details and things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And because of what they did, you know, the medic got to me very, very quickly. He started putting tourniquets on my 2 legs. He'd obviously given me morphine. He put a tourniquet on my arm. And the way these guys are trained is, for someone in my situation, they try and get the casualty involved in their own evacuation to keep them conscious, and so they don't just die. So he asked me to do this, the one up on my arm.
So you're twisting your own tourniquet.
I didn't do a great job of it. I was just trying to make him, I was just kind of in and out of consciousness.
Yeah, but it's more the effort of you trying is keeping you conscious.
I think so, yeah. And then he picked up what was left of my right arm. There was still a little bit of my right leg attached. Just kind of put this on my belly, got out a stretcher.
My God, fucking Jesus.
And then put me on this, like a tablecloth with handles on it. And I closed my eyes at this point, and I've got no idea how he got me out of this 12-foot crater. I don't know how he got me off of this high ground, but at the bottom where the other section were, there was a vehicle waiting for me. So he got me off, threw me in the back of this thing. It's called a super cat. And we start, you know, kicking ass along the road, trying to get back in the camp as quick as we can. And to go in the front gate that we were supposed to walk in, you've got to go up this incline. Now, the roads in Afghan, if you think we have potholes in the UK, and then Afghan dirt road, you can multiply that by 100. And this thing's bouncing around, and I'm bouncing around, I'm hitting my head off the sides, and we start climbing up this incline. And I don't know if the vehicle went down a pothole or what, or if the ground crumbled underneath us, but the driver had to be quite aggressive. And he hit the accelerator and steered left or right, I can't remember which way. And then the medic that just saved me fell out the back.
Fucking hell.
Right.
It gets worse and worse.
Yeah, it's going to get worse now.
Okay.
Because I went to follow after him, and then the guy driving like swang around, and he reached out and he went to grab anything that he could to kind of hold me half in, half out this vehicle. Yeah. And he ended up grabbing the femur bone that was coming out my right leg. It didn't hurt. I was high on morphine. I didn't have a clue really what he was doing.
But you remember that hand grabbing your bone?
And then he left the medic. The other group we were with were at the bottom of the hill. So there's 8 heavily armed men down, so he was safe. And he drove me into camp. And the last thing that I remember is this Chinook helicopter coming down. The Chinooks have got the 2 rotor blades, so it creates this huge sandstorm, and there's rocks and pebbles and stuff just pinging off this vehicle everywhere. The heat of the exhaust. And then I blacked out, which was when I later found out, having met all of the team after, was the point where they had classed me as dead.
So the medic on the Chinook, they have their own medic on there.
Yes.
That's like the recovery.
They had a whole team of them on there.
And so they got off and just looked at you and pronounced you dead.
Yes. Well, so what they do...
Or thought you were dead at first visual.
And they have checks that they do. So I don't remember any of this, but I know the entire team, and this is what they've told me. They landed Chinook, and they put me on the back, and there was another guy injured in the blast who got shrapnel in his tricep and his back and a little bit in his face. And the way we prioritize casualties back then is if you have a guy that's dead and a guy that's dying, as harsh as it sounds, you've got to ignore the dead guy and put all your attention on the guy that's dying. So they felt me for a pulse, and they said I didn't have one. They couldn't get any intravenous lines into me because of the massive blood loss. My veins had all collapsed. Yeah. And then when they went to put an oxygen mask on me, they said it should have steamed up to show that I was breathing, but it didn't. So they shoved me in the corner and said, this guy's dead. Now, luckily, one of the medics left Stu to come get some equipment. As he got the equipment, he had to go past me. And as he did, he saw my eyes start to flare. Right. Which meant that my heart was beating. So he alerted some of the medics that weren't busy. They came over to me. And 3 days before I was injured, someone, whoever's in charge of like the army medical world, had green-lighted this new technique to be used, where if you can't get intravenous lines into somebody's veins, you can drill into their tibia and their fibia and administer fluids that way.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Right.
Problem being, I didn't have any tibias or fibias. Yeah, because they've been ripped off. So the medics, Charlie, she was the one in charge, and Milsey, they basically made up a procedure like in that moment. And you've got to bear in mind, this is not a medical facility. It's not static. It's a back of a Chinook helicopter. It's covered in sand and dirt. They've got this casualty in front of them that's basically just a slab of meat that looks like he's been attacked by dogs. They were always very aware that people were trying to shoot down helicopters. It's like the biggest trophy that the enemy could have got if they shot down a helicopter. So this thing's going from left to right. You know, it's not the best environment to be in. But they decided to try and drill into my hip bone. So they got these, I think it's called an Easy O drill. And one of them drilled in the front of my hip, one of them drilled in the back. They put the intravenous line in. But the first time...
So into the bone?
Into my hip bone.
And so they put fluids into the bone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
No, they'd only been like green lighted 3 days before they did it.
Yeah.
No one in the world had ever done it in the hip. They didn't even know if it was possible.
Yeah.
The first time it failed, because they said the skin was too loose.
Yeah.
So they pulled the line out, tightened the skin, went back in. 3 minutes later, I was awake and responsive and complaining that my ass was hurting, which is not a Royal Marines thing. Apparently, I had some pebbles under my ass, and that was.
Are you fucking shitting me?
No.
So
no.
after
I woke up and said my ass hurts.
Fuck my life. So you lose 2 legs and an arm, and the pebbles under your arse are bothering you.
I don't remember any of this. I don't remember. Charlie, she's told me this many times over the years, and I was laying on some pebbles that were causing me some pain.
Fucking hell, Mark. That's an insane story. Like, obviously we've all watched films like Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump, and you see those army scenes, but you've just like told us a scene there that I couldn't envision. That just wow. Like fucking hell, to live through that and to pick your own hand up and see your legs all twisted up and messed up, and
it's pretty gross.
Does that affect you mentally? You know, they call it the PTSD, don't they? Does that affect you? Is that something you really had to work on to sort of move on from, or does it still affect you now?
No,
it never affected you.
Honestly, right, I'm just super grateful that I can say that, but I couldn't tell you why, because you'd think it would, right? Like, especially, I have a lot of friends that were injured after me in a similar way who were knocked unconscious by the blasts, and they get affected because everything's stored in your subconscious somewhere, right? Yeah. And so later in life, it starts to make an appearance, and then they have nightmares, night terrors, and all this stuff. I sleep like a baby, like every night.
You look very fresh.
I've never in my life had any trouble sleeping. Yeah. I don't have flashbacks. It's not like in a film, if I see a car backfire, I hit the deck. Like, none of that. I'm so lucky. I think because I remember it all, that's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And maybe because I've told this story so many times over the last 15, 16 years, it's like therapy.
Yeah.
But no, I'm super, super lucky. There were 2 times during my recovery, only 2, that have really ever affected me. The first time was when that doctor said I'd never walk again. When... I've always been very open about this. I contemplated suicide. And the second time was when my wife took me over to a flat that we were staying in, and I saw myself in a full-length mirror for the first time. Because I used to be 6'2". At my heaviest, I was about 16 stone. And at that point, without my legs on, I think I'm 3'5". And I was 8 stone 2 or something at that point. Yeah. Just because of the limb loss, but the infections I was fighting off, and my face was like a skeleton. And I spent the entire night crying, like laying in bed with Becky, just crying like a baby. But it's therapeutic. It was like this purge. Like, I got up the next day, and I'm like, right, fuck it. Just what's next?
Are you saying that's the only 2 times you got emotional and cried about it?
Swear on my life.
Fuck my life. Yeah. That's incredible.
I can't tell you why. Honestly, I got out of hospital after 6 weeks, went to Headley Court for rehab. My unit was still in Afghan, and I just started setting myself these goals. Yeah. My first one was to walk at the Meadows Parade. And it was really, really hard because I was still raw and tender, and trying to walk on prosthetics was so painful. But I set that goal, and I managed to achieve it, to walk on that day when everyone thought I was going to turn up in a wheelchair. I walked in absolute agony in front of the whole unit. But I went home that night, and I was like, this is what I need to do. I need goal setting is like the key to this. And it wasn't just my rehab. I started doing it in my rehab, in my career, in my finances, my health and fitness. And I was always moving forward. Like, either, taking tiny steps towards these quite achievable goals, or having these longer term goals that always occupy my mind. And I never had the chance, I never gave myself the chance to sit still and think, this is shit, I hate this.
Yeah.
I just kept on moving forward. And, you know, I did do it intentionally, but I didn't know that I was doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like an almost an accidental sort of remedy for it.
Right. And it just kept moving forward. And then before you know it, you forget what life was like before. This is your life. And then you just don't see any reason to feel bad about it. You just crack on. And I'm really, really lucky and grateful that I've been able to just almost naturally just do this without really being told how to do it.
Yeah, have you ever done any I guess you were assessed after this, like by a therapist. What do they call them?
Counselor, therapist.
Counselor. You were they must have assessed you. Yeah. What do they call them? Psychotherapist.
Yeah.
Am I being stupid here? That's what I said. Psychotherapist.
I have to be careful when I talk about certain things, because I may appear like I'm making light of them and not taking them seriously, but they did put me in for like a session and an assessment. And when I transition from a wheelchair to these full length legs, you get these little ones called stubbies that make you about 4 foot tall, but they're for strengthening all your glutes and lower back and your core to transition you to the bigger legs.
Yeah.
And so this therapy assessment was in Plymouth in HMS Drake on the 3rd floor with no lift, these old buildings. So I crawled up the stairs. And then as the woman came in, I'd opened the window and was climbing up the radiator, but I pretended I was going to jump out the window. So she walked in, she's like, "What are you doing, Marine Ormrod? Get down." She come on over, I'm like, "Relax, I'm joking. I'm just joking." And that was the start of our PTSD assessment. But I had to explain to her that I'm only kidding. Like, I know I shouldn't be making fun of this because it's a serious subject, but I was just lucky. I've never had to deal with.
It's insane, mate. Because I say people have done a lot less and end up in absolute states, myself included. So yeah, we're lucky, or just an insanely strong state of mind that you've been blessed with, mate.
I think there's two things. I think that the mindset is part of it, which was developed, I think, from a young age. I used to compete at Muay Thai and kickboxing from about 13. Because I was quite big, I'd always compete against adults.
Yeah. And
I did very well. Out of 11 fights, I only ever lost 1. And so I think I was developing some sort of mindset there of self-belief.
Yeah.
And then when I went in the Royal Marines, I was 17. And I was shit at everything.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't fit, fast, or strong. I just was stubborn and would always just turn up and keep going. And I didn't mind being wet and cold and tired. And the bigger, stronger guys covered in tattoos, you know, that I looked at as a 17-year-old boy who I thought were tough, would break if they were wet for 3 days in a row. Yeah. And then I just started to develop this mindset like, oh, so, you know, what I thought was strong and tough, and most of it's in your mind, right? And then I was because I wasn't that fit, we were on one of our long runs one day in training, and I was at the back as usual, and, you know, snot's coming out my nose, and I'm crying and complaining because I'm dragging my ass through it. And one of the corporals that was with us said to me, I didn't know if it was true at the time, but I do know it's true now. He said, "You know that little voice in your head that's telling you to quit and to stop and to go home and do something comfy?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That means you're probably only about 40% to failure. You've got tons left in the tank. If you just keep going, you'll get through it." And that kind of motivated me. And part of me was like, I want to see if this twat's telling me the truth. And I carried on. I got to the end. I'm like, damn, he was right. And I learned that at quite a young age. And so it's carried with me through everything ever since, especially physical things. I'm like, when I'm, you know, a little, "You're a bitch, Mark, quit, Mark, go and do something comfy, Mark," that's in my ear. I'm like, cool, I'm about 40% of the way. Now I just got to keep pushing a little bit. And it's little things like that over the years, all these little tiny 1% that have just kind of developed my mindset and put me on the path that I've been on.
It's incredible. It's like superior mental resilience. It's like,
but it feels like an accident. It's not like I intentionally, I read all these books now and go to these courses and watch all this content now about this stuff. Yeah. But back then it was just kind of like a happy accident that it all happened.
It's insane, because to have that mindset is very rare. And I think for you to fall into the Royal Marine Commandos with that mindset, or with that, able to achieve that mindset is very rare. So is it something like 80% of people that join the Royal Marine Commandos fail the... It's a high number. They never get through the fitness test, and it's quite a high number, isn't it? So how many, like, say if 100 entered, how many would actually get through?
Well, in my case, 64 of us started in February 2001. At the end of that year, I was one of 16 that made it through.
There you go.
In one go.
Yeah.
With no injuries and no failures. I think the whole troop was about maybe 25 of us.
Okay.
But there are only about 16 of us, I think, that made it in one hit.
Yeah, so it is about 30-40% of people enter actually get through and make it to Royal Marines.
It's probably less than that.
Probably less.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And like I said, it's not because they're not fit, fast, strong, or anything like that. It's just some people... Exactly. You know, I can be cold and wet and tired and pissed off for a couple of days and find humor in it.
Yeah.
And then try and make everyone else find humor in it.
Yeah. That ability to get comfortable being uncomfortable is very strong.
Yeah. And you know about all this stuff.
Of course.
I've seen some of the stuff you've done.
Yeah, no, of course. It's like when you're lifting the weights, when I was training for strongman, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where winning's made. Yeah. So I can completely relate with that.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go on.
So when you were doing that, right? In the beginning, you know, when you're trying to psych yourself up, and in your mind, you're like, I'm going to destroy this person. No one's better than me. But then as you get older, you're like, I just want to be better. I don't care about anyone around me. What can I do? How can I be better? That's kind of how I've developed, I think, as I've got older.
Yeah, I got to the point where it was just that superior in strength. It's like I was the world record holder in the deadlift, and it was like the world record at the time was 462 kilos or 463 kilos. And I was like, I've got to do something to separate myself from the rest, and that's where the 500 kilo came about. And like, right, let's push the human limits far and beyond what everyone thinks possible and train like an absolute madman to achieve that. So it was... And
that was what, over 30 kilos extra?
I broke the world record by 37 kilos in a day.
That's not a small increase, 37 kilos.
8%.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like Usain Bolt taking nearly a second off the 100 meter sprint.
That's madness, yeah. I think a lot of people, I mean, it's unbelievably impressive, but for someone like me that's not in that world, to break it down like that, I see the gravity of it now. Yeah. You know, adding 37 kilos is a lot.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
It's a hell of a lot. That's awesome. I love that.
When you got back from this happened in Afghanistan, and you were flown back.
Yep.
How many weeks later? Like 3-4 weeks later, I'd imagine.
It was Christmas Day I got back, 4:00 in the morning in Birmingham.
Oh, wow. So they flew you back pretty quick.
Almost instantly. As soon as they bandaged me up and they
Because
stabilised me.
I bet the setup there wasn't built for that kind of thing. So the best place for you was to get home. So you're in Birmingham. That recovery process, like that must have been hell on earth of like just letting all that sink in, what's actually happened. And obviously the family, like your wife. How long were you married for at that point? You were 25, so you've been married what?
No, we'd been together for 12 months.
Been together for 12 months, you weren't married?
No, we didn't get married until 2nd of May 2009.
Wow.
So
that's a proper wife.
Well, and here's the thing, right? So my wife is from Surrey.
Yeah.
So she came to Plymouth to finish her degree.
Yeah.
I was working on a nightclub door when we met, and I was a civilian at the time. I did my first 5 years, took a year out, trained as a bodyguard, worked as a nightclub doorman to earn money until the bodyguard work kicked off, and then I met Becky. Then I decided to rejoin the military because I just couldn't seem to win in Civvy Street. And I mean, that's enough for a young woman who's just got a degree to go, okay, you go do your thing, I'm going back home.
Yeah.
But she stuck around. Then I got injured. And again, you know, I've got a 20-year-old daughter from a previous relationship as well. Yeah. So now you've got this young woman whose boyfriend's now a triple amputee, who has a daughter already. And Becky's just got a degree. And she was 21 at the time. So she could have just went, look, I think you're great, Mark. Yeah. But this isn't really for me. And she could have went home, and no one would have blamed. I wouldn't have. But she didn't. You know, she stuck around. She stuck with me through it all. And, you know, we got Mason and Evie now. As a result, we've been together for nearly 20.
2 kids together now.
2 kids together now.
That's an incredible woman.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely. That's something I'm sure you know. I don't need to tell you that. That's an incredible woman. Someone that stuck through you after that and got on and got married and had 2 kids. Yeah. So you got your oldest boy here.
Mason's here in the background.
How old are you, Mason? 13.
13, yeah.
My son's 13. And then Evie, was it?
She's just turned 2 this month. Not 2. On the 2nd of July, she turned 12.
On the 2nd of July, 12.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
And Kezia is 20. Running
That's
her
your
own
eldest.
business.
Yeah. That's incredible, mate.
Yeah.
And obviously she stuck by you all that process. And when you had to, where did you have to go to get the rehab?
Headley Court, which no longer exists. It's in a place called Leatherhead in Surrey.
Okay.
I think it's Junction 11 off the M25.
And you went there for this intensive sort of learn to walk again?
Yeah. It was like a 4 weeks on, 1 week off routine.
Yeah. How long did you do that for?
So I got there in February 2008, and I left the military on the 1st of July 2010. So on and off about 18 months.
Okay. And it was only 6 months after 6 months-ish after your incident, was it? You went to this camp?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
I did 6 weeks in hospital.
So you were just about healed up and you were straight into this camp to learn to walk on your prosthetics?
I went to rehab, learned to walk on prosthetics, and then...
And that took about 18 months to get fully accustomed.
Well, because I was the first triple amputee, everything was harder. Like no one had paved the way before. There had been double amputees, single amputees, but although it may not appear that much of a difference, it's huge, especially because I lost my dominant arm.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I found this guy online. He was a triple amputee in America who got hit by a train in 2002, a young lad called Cameron Clapp. And I used to watch his videos because all my team, and I get this, right? They were telling me as an above knee amputee, some things weren't possible because they didn't think they were possible, but also because they were trying to protect me.
Yeah.
But then I saw this guy doing all these things. And I'm like, well, hang on, this guy's doing it. Surely I can do it too. No, you can't do that, Mark. You know, it's not possible. The videos aren't real. And so I ended up emailing this guy. And he introduced me to his team that built his legs, built his arm, trained him to do all this. And they all started helping me out. And then they offered me to go to America. The day after that picture was taken that I showed you on the 9th of June 2009 to meet Cameron and spend 3 weeks training with him and his team, like the guys that rehabilitated him. So I asked the MOD, I said, look, I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for me, but we are walking through treacle here. Whereas this guy has done everything I want to do. It's took him 6 years. I can go for 3 weeks and gain 6 years of knowledge and then bring it back. And they said that I couldn't go. So I spent a couple of days, you know, when something's on your mind, you like wake up at 2, 3 in the morning and you don't know which way to go. And I was speaking to my wife and she just said to me, because in the military as well, right? It's yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. So you've got to do what you're told. That's apparently what makes a good soldier. So I didn't want to disobey a direct order, but she said, look, in 10 years time, none of these people will be in your life. And you've got an opportunity here. And if you don't take it, you know, you're probably going to regret it. So I woke up the next day and I was like, fuck it, I'm off. I just drove up to Heathrow, got on a plane, went AWOL from the military, flew out to Oklahoma, met Cameron and his team, spent 3 weeks with them. And it was brutal because they didn't let me take the wheelchair. That was part of the agreement is you can't take it and you can't bring anyone with you.
Yeah. You've got to be self-sufficient.
But it's hard for me to explain to anybody how terrifying and how physically demanding that is as a guy missing 3 limbs to just navigate airports, travel to the other side of the world, not get to rest in a wheelchair, that you wake up in the morning and you're covered in blisters and bruises and your back feels like it's going to snap, where normally you'd get in a chair and have a day off. You've got to get up and try and put these things back on. And it's just agony every day. You're up at 5 in the morning, stretching your hip flexors and your back and just, you know, sheepishly putting these legs on, fighting through the pain. And it takes you about 20 minutes to warm up, walk around the house, and you go out for another full day of shopping and eating out and just, you know, we went to roller coaster parks and did all this stuff, like normal stuff that they don't teach you in rehab. Rehab's all focused on functional stuff like walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs, you know, pick up this plate with your prosthetic. Whereas they just took me out into the real world. And you have to avoid crazy new moms with prams and people texting on their phone, bumping into you in the mall and all that normal stuff that I wasn't doing. And it was brutal.
That sounds fucking brutal.
And the last day was horrendous. We went to a place called Six Flags, like a roller coaster park in Texas. It was 109 degrees.
Oh, fuck.
And it takes me, like I said, 300 to 500% more energy.
Yeah.
And we did about 8 hours, I think.
Oh, wow.
And I was so tired by the end of the day. as we were walking back to the car park, I could see the car in the distance. And the way I felt physically, mentally, and emotionally was the same as at the end of commando training. You've got to do a 30 miler across Dartmoor.
Yeah.
And you get to the end and you're just broken, like completely broken all over. That's the way I felt walking through the car park. And I got into the car, sat in the passenger seat, and just passed out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember the drive from Texas to Oklahoma. I was gone. But that was the last day. And then I came home and I've never used a wheelchair since.
Wow. So even though that sounds like that was probably tougher than your training going through all that.
It was on par for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously you're glad you did that because you're walking about and living a good life.
Well, it's what I call short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
You know, I knew I wanted to grow my family. I wanted a career. I didn't want to, sit at home in a wheelchair, living off the state. I wanted to do things. And I knew that meant sacrifice in the short term and pain in the short term to live a comfortable life long term.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
What's his name? Cameron what?
Cameron Clapp.
Cameron Clapp. And he was hit by a train. How old was he when he was hit by a train?
So Cameron was 15. It was in 2002. Him and his brother and his friends were at a memorial garden for the victims of 9/11. And they'd been drinking. And on the way home, Cameron and his crew had to cross some train tracks to get to the house. And obviously he was so drunk, he didn't see the freight train coming towards him. And he was hit head on and both of his legs instantly taken off above the knee and his right arm nearly through his shoulder.
Wow. From a train.
From a train, yeah.
Wow, I bet that was traumatic as well. Geez, I don't know which is more traumatic, the IED or the train. I think they're both equally horrible.
Yeah.
So at 15, so he had to have this journey of learning to walk with prosthetics. That again, a free amputee, which is quite unheard of. So, what did you learn from this Cameron? What's his story? How did he get from a 15-year-old kid, pretty much probably written off like you were, saying he's never going to walk again, to where he was?
So I think it's a combination of things. As the amputees, if we do well, we're the ones. It's like a boxer, right? They're the ones who get all the praise and the accolades. But a boxer's got a nutritionist, a coach, strength. They got all this team behind them, right? That get them to where they are, and that's similar to being an amputee. So Cameron had Randy and Chad and Kevin and all these guys at the prosthetic clinic doing all these things behind the scenes, and these guys were all unbelievably passionate about getting people independent again. So they basically ripped up the textbooks. Your prosthetic legs will come literally with a manual telling you what you can and can't do with them and how you should put the settings in them and align them and adjust them. And they just went, we're going to get rid of that and we're going to see what Cameron can do by pushing the limits a little bit.
Who was this team? Was it a team that already existed or was it put together just for Cameron?
I do not know. I think they already existed. They were working at a prosthetic center in America.
Right.
And you had... So Randy is the tech guy. So these legs have to be programmed by laptops and software. He's the guy that loves all that stuff. Chad is the guy that builds the upper part and the sockets, as is Kevin. There was another guy that would build the arms, and then they would all go out into the real world and they would test this stuff.
Right.
Whereas everyone that I am aware of prior to that, all over the world, would just be in a clinical environment, in parallel bars or some room with stairs in it and all these challenges.
So Cameron, in essence, was an experiment for these guys.
Cameron was the first person in the world. What he probably doesn't even realize this, but what he did and what that team did has had this ripple effect across the world for thousands of people like me who wake up with 3 limbs missing above all their major joints and get told your life's over. And he did all of it. Between them all, they all did it. But I don't know how Cameron did it. He's what I would, if you said to me, describe a Californian, Cameron's long blonde hair, surfer, yo, Mark, dude, this is how he talks, super laid back and chilled. And I honestly just don't think that he understood it was supposed to be hard. It was so destroying hard for me. And I just think he was so laid back. He's like, yeah, I'll try that, dude. And he's just walking downstairs without holding handrails. And I'm like, that's impossible. That took me, I still can't do it very well now.
Did you have a YouTube channel, you said? And that's
I think
how
he
you found
does. He
it?
doesn't do a lot I found him online through news articles and American media back in the day. But he would write blogs and stuff like that. And I'd see snippets, and I'm like, how is this guy doing this? And how is he making it look so effortless that he's doing it as well? And I knew I had to go and meet him and the team and just learn from him and get a mentor and get this guy to mentor me. And, you know, I was going through my rehab and I was struggling. And then I saw what he was doing, and it helped me overcome these plateaus I was hitting. But then they were coming more and more frequent. So I was like, right, I've got to meet this guy, and sent him an email. We went back and forth for a couple of weeks, me, Cameron, and the team. And then they eventually invited me out there and said, look, we've been doing this for 6 years now. We've learned a lot. Come out for 3 weeks and we'll see what you can achieve in 3 weeks. So I went out there, and I knew it was going to be rough, and it was, but I knew that it was going to benefit me long term. So I went out there, and just when I look back at it and I say it was rough, just things like going to lunch and sitting on a wooden bench when you're sore already and trying to enjoy your lunch, but you're in pain all the time. And then just to get up to go to the toilet is a pain. Like when I went out there, the first time I went out, I got to Oklahoma airport and I'm dragging my suitcase and I've got a backpack on and I stank because of all the travel and the sweat and everything. And I start walking to the lift and Randy picked me up and he's like, where are you going? I'm like, in the lift to your car. He went, no, we'll take the escalator. And I'm like, what? I've got so I get to the escalator and I go to give him my suitcase. He's like, I'm not taking it. So I went down the escalator. I pulled the bag behind me. I knew what was going to happen. So I stacked it down the escalator. The bag, and I don't know how, but the bag was in front of me. And the escalator's going down. And the bag, we get to the bottom and my suitcase is there. And I grab the handrail, but the handrail moves. So I grab it, bang, face plant, bang, face plant. Everyone behind me, I look back as I'm trying to get up. They're all running up the escalator. And Randy just steps over me. And I'm thinking, is this guy going to help me? And all these people are running up the escalator. And he's like, come on, mate, let's go. And in my mind, I was cursing him. And I twatted my elbow and I started cutting all my hands up. Eventually, he came and helped me. But it was just like, this is life, dude. And I'm like, yeah, but I would have took the lift. Do you know what I mean? I would have got, but the point was, to that point, everybody had been helping me, doing everything for me, pushing my bags, driving me everywhere. And it was just like, this is how it's going to be for 3 weeks, mate. Like, do it yourself or you don't do it.
Sounded like it's what you needed.
Yeah, it was. And
to get this independence that you've got, you wouldn't have this independence now if you didn't have that experience from the sounds of things.
No. And it was funny because when I was younger, I was a lot more flashy, as in I would lose my temper a lot quicker. And it was probably 2 weeks into it because I stayed at Randy's house. He had this big 4-bedroom house. And I never lost my temper, but everyone around me could feel it was coming. And he woke up one day and he went, I had a dream last night that you came in my room and stabbed me in the chest while I was asleep. I was like, I feel like it, mate. I'm like at my limit now. Like, and it's hard because as experienced as he was and his team was, and in my mind I was like, you'll never know what this actually feels like because you're not going through it. So stop telling me. And I knew it was for my best, but in my mind I was like, stop telling me how to do things, what to do. You don't know what this is like, and going through that little pity party thing. But yeah, and eventually mentally you cross that line, and then it's just like, doof, you know, the weight is lifted, if you like, and then you just go about life and you're independent.
You went AWOL from the army. I'm sure they're aware of that now, are they?
Yeah, they were very good with me when I got back. I was expecting a bollocking. I got called into the CO's office.
That can be big disciplinary and even jail time sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, but I kind of knew they weren't going to throw me in jail, being in a wheelchair and a triple amputee. So I just kind of got a little bit of a rap on the knuckles. But the great thing is, you know, a couple months later, they invited all the Americans over to Headley Court. And they're like, well, you've obviously shown Mark something that works. Can you show us? And they came over and, you know, it was great. And loads of people, I saw guys that were injured similarly to me doing in 6 months what took me 18. Yeah. So it was great. It was definitely worth doing. And, you know, I've got no regrets at all from doing that.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible. What's your wife's name? Let's put some respect on that name. Let's put some respect on it. So Becky Ormrod.
Yes.
Put some respect on that. Thank you, Becky. Commendable woman. It's very rare.
Still supporting me now, isn't she, mate? Still supporting us and everything that we do.
How long have you been married?
2nd of May 2009. So I think it's, my maths is shite.
26.
No, 16. 16 years,
I was about to say
maybe?
26 years.
Yeah, I think
Quick
16.
maths. 16 years.
Yeah. Going strong.
And going strong.
Going strong, yeah. Yeah, we got a good life.
Awesome, man. I've got to ask, how did you get here? Like, did you drive? Did you get training?
Yeah, I drove.
So you drove?
I drive everywhere. Half man, half car. Pretty much. I just spent a lot of time driving around the country. So, yeah, fully independent. You can drive anything. Legally, I can't drive a manual car, but I have on a private road.
Well, you can.
I can, but I drive automatics.
So you got an automatic driving license? Is that how?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And is your car adaptive, or is it just a normal car?
Standard, fully standard. I have an app on my phone which connects via Bluetooth to my leg. My leg is programmed into driving mode.
So your leg's actually got mechanics and electronics in it?
I mean, I can show you.
Yeah, please do.
So I'm going to spin this around. So there's a hydraulic piston in the back. And
just to make sure can we just turn that camera down on this? There we go.
So I've got an app on my phone. It will connect with Bluetooth and the back of the leg will turn blue. And then you hear a beep. That's now in driving mode. So when I get in the car, that's locked. I just accelerate and brake.
Wow, okay.
And then when I get out,
you turn it back onto walking mode. Wow.
And I walk off.
So for those listening in, he's literally got two RoboCop legs that he presses a button and it sort of stiffens up and he's able to keep it out in front of him to press the accelerator and the brake. And then he presses another button on his phone and his legs just go back into walking mode. So I take it, there's very clever like magnets and hydraulics in there. And
so these legs are around about £90,000.
£90,000.
90,000.
How did they come about? Did the army help you sort them out, or has it just been a self-funded job?
It was a bit difficult in the beginning with the funding because I was going to America.
Is that for both or each?
Both.
Okay.
All in. But now there's a fund set up where veterans that are injured like me can dip into to get their prosthetics funded. But these have Bluetooth, CPUs, sensors, gyroscopes. There's a lot of technology in them, and you can switch out different components. Like
have you got a speaker? Can you play music?
No, not quite.
They're missing a beat there.
No,
we need
a dancing mode.
And a dancing mode.
Yeah. I need a dancing mode.
We need a full-on like audio system, Bluetooth system in there. Just who makes them?
Well, I mean, you say that, but there are people when it comes to the arms. I've had speakers grafted into the wrist unit, so you can walk around like a genius. With speakers in your arms and all sorts.
That sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
The amount of times you've been places and it's like, I haven't brought my beatbox.
There you go.
You can
just get your arm out, pull your prosthetic out. But yeah, I mean,
have you got a prosthetic arm as well?
I do. I've got 3. One's in the boot actually.
He's just showing off now. He's got 3.
I got 3. I got running legs. The running legs are in the boot of my car right now. I don't run. I despise running. But I was doing like a photo shoot the other day and I had to use them.
So what are the running legs comprised of? What's the difference? Just slightly different. They've got dampeners and stuff.
No, they're completely different. It's just like a carbon fiber blade. And on the bottom.
Right. We see at the Olympics
Correct.
where like a kangaroo sort of run on splints or whatever they are. Yeah. Okay.
And there's a trainer sole super glued on the bottom for grip.
Yeah.
I just, if it takes you 300 to 500% more energy to walk, with running, it's probably 800 to 900%.
Yeah.
Because you're just powering by your glutes the whole time. And you have to have a lot of confidence in the leg that when it clicks forward.
We've got a picture up here. So we've all, over those listening in and those watching, this would be the Paralympics where they have, it's literally, I don't know how to describe them. It's like 2 half-moon skis on the bottom of your prosthetic.
Yeah.
A bit like a kangaroo sort of jumping mechanism.
And there's a lot of different variations. You can see these on the right. They've got they don't have a knee on. But mine's got a knee, so it kind of flicks forward as you hit the deck.
Ah, right, okay.
And some people circumduct.
Flick out.
And flick out. And some people have, like Richard Whitehead, his are just completely straight and he flicks out to the side. But it depends what you're doing. If it's long distance running, sprinting, if you're in above knee or below knee, it's all very, very different.
So, I mean, since we're on this subject, you've done the Invictus Games.
Yes.
And that was it rowing?
rowing, swimming, hand cycling, shot put, and discus.
Fucking A. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk us about that. Like, how do you get involved in that to start with? Because it's one thing, like getting blown up, learning to walk again, and then utilizing this and going into sport and representing the UK. That's incredible. Talk us through that.
So when I was first injured and I was in a wheelchair, the great thing about Headley Court being so close to London is that almost every night, if you wanted to, you were taken into London and you would go to movie premieres or fancy events with celebs, and you had a great time. So I met a lot of people, and I'd always meet these people, and they'd come up and they'd shake my hand, and then I always, not always, but very often got asked, when are you going to start training for the Paralympics? And I used to think, is this the only thing you can do as a disabled adult? Is sport? Is that the only way people will value me? And I just rebelled against it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And, you know, ego again. I thought I used to be a Muay Thai boxer, a kickboxer. I boxed in the Marines. I was a Royal Marines Commando. Now you want me to play sitting volleyball? Like, no thanks. It's not for me. And I did nothing for years and years. And then in 2016, I was sat at home in my office and I was setting all my goals that I wanted to achieve for the following year. And it occurred to me that 2017 was my 10-year anniversary. So I thought, okay, what can I do to celebrate that I haven't done? And it was sport. I'd never done any sport. I trained in a gym and kept myself fit, but I didn't do anything competitively. And the Invictus Games was 2 years old, and I'd seen my friends go and compete in London and Florida and win medals, which was wonderful. But I think what really attracted me to it was I saw what their lives were like when the cameras were off and the games were over. They got their confidence back. They were excited about a new career outside the military, and, you know, all these intangibles that you don't really see when they're on podiums and things like that. And so I thought, you know what, I'll give this a go. You know, I'll go up there, I'll apply, I'll try and make the team. I doubt I will, because I think there were 930 people that applied and there were 67 spots on the team. And I turned up and I was very arrogant. I thought to myself, right, rowing, cool. That's just about being physically fit. I'm a Royal Marine. I'll just trash everybody. And I turned up there. I don't know if you ever tried doing 4 minutes full speed.
Oh, I have.
Right. It's not nice, is it?
It's fucking horrendous.
And when you start to drop off, there's no comeback. In your mind, you think you can come back, but your body just goes, no, mate, you're done. And I got about 3 minutes, 37 seconds in, and I went blind. Like, I saw the stars come up. I hadn't hydrated properly. I did nothing properly. I just thought I didn't think it was that big a deal. And I carried on going because I was kind of embarrassed, and I had the horn go off, the signal that we'd finished. My vision came back. I don't do it with legs on. And so I got off the rower, bum walked over to the side where my legs were, put them on, sat in my car, and I was like, what a dickhead. Like, you thought you could just turn up here and think that you're fit and just beat everybody. And that was like this pivotal moment where I'm like, right, I need to take this seriously. And so I started trying to learn about these sports and strategies and techniques and training routines and all this kind of stuff, and the different kind of nutrition that you needed for this stuff. And fortunately made the team the first year round, and that was for rowing, swimming, and hand cycling. And so I went and learned these sports as best I could. I had a full-time job for the Royal Marines charity at the time. So I was in my garage at 5 o'clock every morning doing cardio, working all day. Then I was doing S&C in the evening. And then on the weekends, I was all over.
What's S&C?
What is it?
Strength conditioning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought that was a joke.
No. I was just wondering. I couldn't compute what it was for a second. Sorry.
So I was lifting in the evenings, and then on the weekends, you had to travel all over the country for swimming camps, cycling camps, rowing camps, and they were everywhere. And I live in Plymouth. It's like the ass end of everywhere.
So you were driving all the time.
So for a whole year, I was just tired all the time. And I went to the games in 2017 in Canada. And my goal was to win gold medals. You know what it's like, right? And I struggled to understand this when you're at these camps and everyone's going, it's not all about gold medals. And in my mind, I'm like, yes, it fucking is. Of course it is. Like, it's all about gold medals. That's all I want. I understand now what they were talking about. For the reasons said before, people get their confidence back and all these other things. But for me, it was just about gold medals. So I went out there and I came back with 2 silvers and 2 bronzes, and was really upset about that. The para sport world is very strange. Just because 2 people are triple amputees on paper it doesn't mean that they should be in the same classifications in reality.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that when I first went out there. So I came back and I gave my medals to a friend of mine, ex-army guy who frames stuff now, does all these fancy frames. And he had a flag that I had got from the Invictus Games that people had signed. And he put the medals in either side of the flag, but he had cut 3 holes in the left and 3 in the right. And so there were 2 empty slots at the top where gold medals should have been.
Yeah.
So he had 2 empty slots, 2 silvers, 2 bronzes. And then he gave me the frame back. And I'm like, prick. Like, you think I can't hang that in my house now because it's got 2 empty slots in it. So I'm like, right, we've got to go again. So next year came around, reapplied again, fortunately made the team again. This time I had a lot more knowledge, not just about the sports, but about how you've got to be proactive in the run up to these events and make sure that the playing field's equal and people aren't sneaking into your categories and getting the easy wins. So I went back, addressed all of that with my coaches and all the judges and was ready, and then got 4 golds, 2 bronzes and a silver. And then like the Jaguar Land Rover Award for outstanding athlete, which is probably the thing I'm more proud of because there's 22 countries there and one athlete gets that out of all 22.
Yeah.
And they chose me to get it, which was awesome. So
no, they didn't choose you, mate. You won it. They didn't choose you.
Thank you.
You worked hard for that.
Yeah. But that was my experience. And now I go back now as an ambassador and a mentor. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow morning actually in London about the games in Birmingham, about maybe grabbing a microphone and doing some punditry and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, I went into it very naive and arrogant, and I learned a lot and matured, I think, and I understood that, you know, it's not all about medals. I speak to people now, and some of them, when they turn up, sleep in their cars. Not so much now, but the generation that I was in back then, you know, they couldn't even face being in a room full of people. And then you see them getting a job as a civilian. Then you understand what they mean by it's not just about the medals.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it back then.
Is the Invictus Games, because they've got the Olympics, the Paralympics, and then the Invictus Games is like a separate thing, is it?
Yeah, it's the military's own little Paralympics.
That was it. It's the military's own sort of Olympics, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Incredible. So you got four gold medals.
4 golds.
Hung up and then 2 empty slots now.
Yes. Yeah. So that's in a frame at the house. And then I kind of retired from that because, like I said, so many people apply and there's very limited spaces.
Yeah.
And this is just my personal opinion, but, you know, I think it's a bit selfish if I apply again, get in again and take that spot from someone that might need it more. I kind of got what I needed from it, like physically and mentally.
I get you. Yeah.
So then I moved on, started training jiu-jitsu, carried on just keeping generally fit and healthy.
The jiu-jitsu you do is pretty cool. Like, really cool, in fact, because you wrestle with anybody and anybody all the time, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. And that's part of the Reorg charity as well. You do a lot with them. That's jiu-jitsu based, isn't it? The Reorg charity. Talk us through that. Talk us like through the jiu-jitsu journey. I suppose you did a bit with the Royal Marines, did you? Sort of close combat training and
you only do a little bit really in training, unarmed combat, and they don't really continue it when you pass out and go to units. But it was the guy who was the chief instructor of Royal Marines Unarmed Combat, Sam Sheriff.
Sam Sheriff, yeah.
You know Sam?
Yeah.
Who introduced me to it. You know, we were at the Sergeant's Mess in Plymouth at Royal Marines headquarters one day. I was working for the charity. He was still serving as a physical training instructor. And he introduced himself to me and asked me if I wanted to try it. Now, growing up, I think like a lot of kids, you know, you dabble in, you have a go at karate a bit, have a go at taekwondo and try all these different things. And I'd done Japanese jiu-jitsu when I was a kid, and I remember it.
What's the difference between Japanese jiu-jitsu and
so what I remember
Brazilian
is it was a lot of like judo throws and a lot of rolling and disarming rubber knives. Okay. So when he said it to me, I was like, there's no way I'm going to do any of this stuff, but because he's a Royal Marine, I'm going to humor him and I'm going to just say yes, go down, show him that it's a load of rubbish because I can't do it with one arm.
Yeah.
And then I'll leave. Now, Sam on camp had taken a disused squash court and he'd filled it with mats on the walls and the floor and turned it into a combat room. So he took me down there and I said, so, okay, what is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu then? Because I've done Japanese, but I don't know what this is. And he explained to me it's a ground-based grappling system. So I'm like, okay, I've took my legs off. I'm on the ground. I'm 50% of the way there. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
And he just beat the shit out of me for about an hour. But what he did, he gave me this gift. So when I was injured, having had experience in martial arts before, been in firefights and all this other stuff, you get that adrenaline burst and that fight or flight. And you know, sometimes you're in a situation where you are potentially very close to dying, right? And it's a strange feeling. And I thought that had gone out my life forever. But then doing this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, knowing there's a man who could like choke me unconscious like this or snap my arm, like, you know, and it's horrible. Like when you've got someone on you, sometimes you feel like you're drowning and all you want to do is run and cuddle your mum and put your head under the duvet.
Yeah.
But he gave me that back and I was like, I thought this was gone out of my life forever. And then he started showing me techniques that are textbook for able-bodied people. And we started looking at how we can adapt them and like apply them legitimately. And obviously there's a lot that I can't do, but there's a lot that I can do. And there's a lot in my situation which can be an advantage compared to an able-bodied person. So I just, you know, I started in 2017 and I've just been steadily chipping away ever since. You know, sometimes I compete, sometimes it's able-bodied people, sometimes it's power athletes. I don't have any ambitions to like be a world champion or anything. I just enjoy what it brings to my life. I enjoy the feeling of the progression. I enjoy the adversity that you've got to face all the time and the way you get humbled all the time. And I like the community. Like the people in that world are the closest that I've found to the military. Yeah. That camaraderie. And I think it's because, like in the military, you all start on day one, or you all start as a white belt, and you all go through a load of shit and highs and lows, and you get to the green beret or the black belt eventually. And because you're all on that kind of journey together, you've got this unspoken rapport and camaraderie. And the community is just phenomenal. I don't know. I haven't really found it, you know, when I was cycling, swimming, I didn't really find it the same. We'll go out and beat the shit out of each other for an hour and then go and have a coffee and chat. And it's great. And I love it. And I don't think I'll ever stop doing it as long as I'm fit and healthy.
I think the other side of that, it's all the endorphins that you get around that as well, isn't it? It's the exercise, the social side of it. Because that's a very important thing, isn't it, for you, is to have that network, have that outlet, and having that outreach as well.
I'll tell you what I found. I always used to find it really difficult to explain to people when you're talking about Reorg as the charity and why it's so popular and why it's so effective. I always kind of struggled to articulate to people, you know, especially when I'm trying to squeeze some money out of them to donate to the charity. But it's what you just said, right? I've been there before where someone new has come along and we've had what we call a roll for like 6 minutes just to warm up, and their endorphins are released. And for the next hour, all they do is talk. And it's all their problems that they wouldn't tell a therapist or they wouldn't tell a counselor because they go into that situation cold and they've spent half an hour trying to talk themselves out of it in their mind. All of a sudden you're on the mats and you're trusting this person not to choke you unconscious, and you get a little bit of a sweat on and your heart's beating, your lungs are burning, and all of a sudden you unburden yourself. And that's massive.
That's huge.
And it's like difficult to replicate. And then you see these people thrive like on their journey, and everyone's in it for a different reason. Some want to be world champions and compete every weekend. Some just love turning up and creating friendship circles.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I've had a lot of friends in the past that have been in some dark places, and 9 times out of 10, I'm like, just go to the fucking gym. Like, a lot of people just sit at home and stew and watch shitty TV series and eat shit. Just try getting yourself up off the arse, off the couch, and go to the gym 3-4 times a week and just lift weights. Go for a run, go do a row, do a cross trainer, on the stepper. It don't fucking matter, does it?
It doesn't matter. I think people massively overcomplicate it. And then they talk themselves out. They think, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to eat. I don't know how to train. I'm like, no one does in the beginning. Just turn up there, lift some weights, just put your headphones on, ignore everyone in the gym, and just go rep it out for like 45 minutes. And then do it again on the next day, and then take a day off, and then do it again after that, and then figure stuff out. And you get to a point where then you'll start absorbing information and making those little changes. And then all of a sudden it becomes quite addictive. And you realize that this is what you just said and what a lot of people say. It's not just your physical health, it's your mental health.
Yeah. Would you say the jiu-jitsu and the reorg scene has really transformed your life?
Yeah.
In a way of like just the networking, the social aspects, the mental health.
Yeah. I just think that there's a huge part of your happiness and well-being in your life that is influenced by the people that you're around. And if you're around people that want to be better and to do better and to get better and to help other people and to willingly put themselves in difficult situations and to know that they're going to fail on a daily basis, but have the strength to keep on pushing forward, then it's always going to be beneficial. Whereas if you're around, like when I was younger, everyone wanted to go out every weekend, drinking and partying and being hungover and eating McDonald's for breakfast. And, it's not a great place to be.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Your youth grew up in Plymouth?
Yes.
Mum and dad, are they still around?
Yes.
Yeah. What were you like? You got older brothers as well?
I have a twin sister.
A twin sister?
Yeah, she's very lucky.
No other brothers or sisters?
No.
You've got a twin sister?
Yeah.
Because I always like to ask these questions because like you've obviously got a super resilient mindset of like, I'm not giving up. I am going to do this. Evidently with the Royal Marines. First off, the Royal Marines. I don't think people quite comprehend how tough it is to pass the Royal Marines and even get in the Royal Marines. That is like such a hard thing to go through.
Yeah.
And then obviously the IED that went off and changed your life, and then to get through that, and then what you're doing with yourself now, like that mental resilience is insane. Where does that come from? Like for me, my mental package, I guess, the competitive nature to be the best and want to push myself came from having two older brothers.
Okay.
And just wanting, like always being punched and bullied and just wanting to beat my brothers. And then that sort of expanded into, right, I'm done with my brothers. I want to beat them. I want to beat these. It sort of opened me up to the world. Did you have any environment when you were younger that you think might have stemmed from? And also any because when I was a kid, very unbeknown to me, I had a very bad ADHD. And that can be a very telltale sign for people like yourself that are very stubborn, like get fixated on something. Like you set a goal and you have to achieve it. Like if you don't achieve it, like everything crumbles. What's your opinion on that? Do you think anything stems? Is there anything in your youth where you're like, fuck me, that's true, or there's like this scenario with my sister or mum and dad?
I think there's a combination of things. So how old are you now?
I'm 37.
Okay, so I'm a bit older, but I would say we're a similar generation, right? So I was born in 83, grew up in the 90s when they had VHS cassettes. Believe it or not, youngsters, there was no such thing as streaming back in the day. But I was a big fan of Arnie, Stallone, and all these guys. And I used to watch these VHSs until like they bust. And I used to watch them and I'm like, obviously there's the muscles, right? And the masculinity and all this lot. And then there's you got Rambo and Commando and the Running Man and kickbox and all these sorts. So these are masculine men. But one of the things that always got me was like in a lot of these movies, they were underdogs, but they were heroes as well and gentlemen. They had all this skill and this muscle and this but they would always be the hero and the gentleman. So that was kind of one part of it for me. I always wanted to be like them. These not always quiet and unassuming, but just the guy that knew what he could do and went out and did it. All my friends growing up were all older than I was. So like your brothers, all my friends had left school as I was coming up to the time. They were like 2 or 3 years older than me. So
why is that? Why would all your friends be 2 years older? It's just the people you hung around
where
with.
I grew up.
Just all your pals around you.
They were all just like, it's my friend's birthday today who I grew up with. He's 44 today and I'm 42 tomorrow.
Okay.
So there was this whole group of us and they were all older. So I think that helped me to mature a bit quicker because I was exposed to things that, a little bit too early. And then I think things like martial arts, like I said, when I started competing at like 13, when I was 15, I fought a 35-year-old and beat him. And
in a proper, like full contact?
In a ring in front of a crowd full of people.
MMA or was it?
No, that wasn't a thing back then.
What was
just kickboxing.
It's pretty much MMA, just minus the grappling, isn't it?
Right.
The kickboxing.
But it was weird, right?
So a 15-year-old kid was fighting a 35-year-old.
Yeah. But that didn't seem odd to me. It scared the shit out of me before I did it.
Yeah.
But then when I got in there, and it was weird, I always used to say, it felt like, and this isn't like cockiness or arrogance, it felt like the fight was like going through the motions, because in my mind I'd already won.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it properly. And it wasn't, honestly, it's not like an arrogance thing. It's like, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm capable of doing this. And I'll go in there. And it would be horrible when you're in there. Like I say, it's like you just want to run away all the time and hide and go do something easy. But you just go through the motions and you'd win. And I think I was subconsciously developing this confidence and this mindset without really knowing it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, and then you joined the Marines as a boy, basically. And, you know, people dragged me through most of it.
Yeah, but again, older people. You were 17 when
17,
you joined.
yeah.
And, what was the average age when they were sort of joining? Well, you
24, 25.
Again, you were
maybe.
people in the 20s.
Yeah, and
So you're the youngest, one of the youngest going in for the
was
training.
the second youngest.
Second youngest out of 64 people.
Yeah, and you don't even, you're not doing it for that reason. You don't even realize it's happened at the time, right? Because I was only just focused on getting a green beret. But it's when you get older and you reflect back, you start to look at things and go, how did I develop that mindset? How did I? And then you pick out these key moments and you're like, oh, that must be it.
That sounds quite realistic. What you're saying there is like you're surrounding yourself with maturity. So you've like matured very quickly. So you've sort of missed out on the stupid years.
Oh no, I didn't. I still had them too. But I just.
But you probably had them earlier. You know, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had them earlier. So everything was like 2 years in advance.
Yeah, and it's like, so when I was still in school, like my friend whose birthday is today was already in the army in Germany.
Yeah.
I had friends who were already in the Marines and the Navy, and they would come home and leave. And as a kid, I'm around these people that are living this adult life as soldiers, and I felt part of it already.
Yeah.
Even though I was 2-3 years behind them. So when it came my time, I felt like I'd already been living in that world.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You were so mentally ahead. And fighting a 35-year-old at 15, that is the essence of like when you say something will put hairs on your chest, that is one of those instances. Like having a full contact fight at 15 and winning, that's going to give you such a huge confidence boost in life. Like without even knowing it, that is a huge thing because that is such a test of your willpower.
Yeah,
that's huge to prepare and do that. I don't think you quite realize. He's telling it now that's a big turn point in your life doing shit like that, and that's probably why you're so resilient now.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is a gift or a curse. So I would like come out of one of those competitions or something, and I just like walk through the park on the way home with my kit bag and be like, okay, cool, what's next? And it's like I've never been able to really bask in the moment, and it's not like a negative thing. I don't think I'm just like, it's like a tick in a box. It's like cool, and I don't go, that was amazing, you know. And it's just like, what's next? But not in a negative way. It's just like a kind of, okay, cool, that was a nice experience.
It's that forward thinking mindset.
Yeah, so, but I don't know why I think that way.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won the world's strongest man, and then the next day I felt like shit.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's like you should be high as heck, right?
Yeah.
But
you've got to straight away, like, what's next? You've got to be forward thinking all the time. If I'm not forward thinking, if I've not got a goal in front of me, I'm fucking screwed. Like I really delve down into a dark, deep rabbit hole and just feel like shit.
Yeah.
I have to have a goal, even if it's like just like, I don't know, get to a certain body weight or get my chest to a certain size. You know, even if I've got nothing for, say, like successful goal, it's like, right, what physical goal can I have? You know, there's always got to have a goal. Yeah. So it is a gift.
Yeah.
You might think of it as like, fuck, you never know one of these guys that can sit still, but I think it's a gift.
My wife says it to me all the time. She's like, why don't you just like sit and enjoy things and celebrate? I'm like, meh. I don't really feel the urge to.
That's. I mean, I don't want to downplay anyone, but that's like a sheep mentality of like not having a forward thinking mind. So if you can like be happy in the moment and stay happy in that moment, I think that's quite a sheep mentality.
Okay, I
really do.
Yeah,
I think you've got to reset those goals and keep pushing forward, and they're the people that will have so much more enjoyment out of life.
Okay.
And it's the good old saying of like, would you rather live 50 years as a lion or 100 years as a sheep?
Yeah.
And the lion will always take the risks.
Yeah.
You know, like you've done.
Yeah.
But you'll have so much more enjoyable life being that lion. And that's what I say. Yeah. So it's a gift, mate.
Okay.
100%.
Thank you for letting me know that, because I've asked myself that question a lot of times. Like, should I be slowing down a little bit and just enjoying stuff a bit more? But, you know, if it doesn't feel natural, then I just don't do it.
But one thing I've sort of told myself is always have a goal, right? But that goal has to have an end date.
Okay.
So for me, my end date is when I'm 50. I'm not working a fucking day after 50.
Okay.
So that's my end. And that's when I'm like, right, I am just 50 years old. I'm just going to get up every day, and my goals will be physical.
Okay.
Like, I've got to keep my body in this shape.
Yeah.
I've got to be able to run a mile in this time, just like physical goals. So those are my, just to give you some instance there. But you've got to have an end date, and I'm sure there's got to be an end date in your head. You can't do this driving up and down the country and killing yourself day in, day out forever. You've got to have an end date for it, where you build up an empire, build the charity up to a certain level, and it just you've got people you can trust to play it off. And
But do you not think you'll get bored?
100%. But that's what the physical goals are for, you know? I've got many friends I've got a friend that's a billionaire, and he's one of the most miserable people I've ever fucking met.
And that's the danger, isn't it?
It is the danger, yeah. It is the danger, but he's just a fat, lazy twat.
Right.
He's got no goals.
Okay.
So, you know, a good example, I don't care what people think of him. You've seen Mike O'Hearn.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so Mike O'Hearn, he's like mid-50s.
He looks good.
He's made his money.
Yeah.
And he looks fucking incredible.
Yeah,
and he's got, you know, he just loves his wife and kids and whatever, and just looks incredible. And that's what he thrives for. That's what he lives for. Just looking good. He does the odd film.
Okay, I get
And that's the kind of like the Mike O'Hearn.
Yeah.
You know, that Mike O'Hearn lifestyle. Just look incredible. Do what you enjoy doing. If you want to do a film, do a film. If you want to do an advert for your company, do an advert. So that's like my sort of goal anyway.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay, that's cool. And you're building an empire though. I can see every day on social media.
Everything, everything's building, and the same with you, like with the charities.
Trying.
And so, tell me about this new business. This was it financial advice? What was it? Sorry.
No. So it's called Kaizen Summit, and it is a leadership consultancy and a virtual one-on-one mentoring company. That's our kind of bread and butter. So I was approached in January by a retired Army Commando guy who wanted to start this. He asked me to come on board as a director and now the chief executive of it, and build a team. We partnered with Jocko Willink over in America, the Navy SEAL.
Right.
So he's got a company called Echelon Front. They do the same thing. We've partnered with him. We've learned all of his training materials. And then in the leadership part of our company, that's what we teach. So tomorrow we're at JP Morgan. So I've got the Invictus Games meeting in the morning. Then I'm off to Canary Wharf to JP Morgan, and one of our instructors is going to do a 2-hour pro bono leadership consultancy session with them. And then we've got the virtual one-on-one mentoring. So I said I didn't want to do the mentoring because that's not really my job role, but I ended up getting suckered into it. So I mentor 3 people at the minute, and we've got 8 other mentors. They're either Royal Marines or Army Commandos. We've got one girl who was it was called the Special Reconnaissance Regiment. So they support the SF community. So she's helping us with that. And then the guy that runs it, Ben, he's just, he never seems to stop. He just had a baby, the 4th one about 3 weeks ago. And he's on the phone all the time. Even this morning, I've got a new idea, and he wants us to make a YouTube series about biohacking and human optimization and all this. It doesn't stop, but we've got books being written. We've got retreats being built, leadership consultancy on the go.
And is this to build up themselves as a person, or financially, or physically, or mentally?
Whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
So one of my mentees works at JP Morgan.
Right.
One's at Bupa, an executive, and then one is a veteran who got knocked off his motorbike last year, who's struggling with physical and mental injuries. So it's whatever you want. There's a system that they go through when they sign up. They fill out a form, and then they get matched up with the appropriate mentor, and then they have an intro call, and then they meet twice a month via Google Meet, and they talk through everything, and the mentor then sets them goals, and they go off and do their thing, and then when they feel that they're where they need to be, then the relationship ends.
Right. So it's just a come with us. We're going to get your mind straight, and then.
But do you know what's crazy about it? Right, is all of us in the company. This is pretty much what we've done our entire life in the military for free.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a thing that you could do and get paid for and build a career out of it. And then they told me, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's give that a go. This is what we do.
That's completely true. If you could put your mindset in the whole of the population, the world would be a fucking amazing place.
Right.
As I say, so if you could teach that to people,
And you can. I just didn't know that you could.
Yeah, of course you
I'm just
can,
like, okay. And I didn't know people would pay for it either.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, perfect. If you guys want to pay me for stuff that I would probably do for free anyway, I'm not going to say no.
And what's that company called? Just so people, is it open? Is it open now? Is it running, or is it?
Yeah, it's been running since January. It's called Kaizen Summit.
Kaizen Summit.
Kaizen. So Kaizen is the Japanese philosophy of never-ending improvement.
Okay. How do you spell that?
Kaizen.
Kaizen. Kaizen
Summit. Summit like
Kaizen
a mountain
Summit. So for those listening, and you fancy getting some mentorship from Mark and his co-founders
and the crew,
head over.
Yeah, we've just started a merchandise company as well. So that's getting launched in 2 weeks. And then I might have to give you a shout actually, because we're looking at supplements at some point. And yeah, Ben just never stops. He's always on the go, firing ideas at me. And we have to rein each other in a little bit sometimes, because sometimes you can scatter yourself too thin and you need to focus in. But Ben is phenomenal at, I'll call it talent acquisition, like getting the right people that have the right mindset, that don't look at life and go, I'm not working the weekend. That's a weekend. I don't do that. It's 5 o'clock now. I'm not doing anything. He's managed to get these people together that have got long-term mindsets, that do what needs to be done, that have got very similar values and work ethics, and it just seems to work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the first time outside of the military in a work environment that I've found that, and it's kind of reignited a passion in me now. So we're going to take this company and, you know, make it as big as we can. I don't really think I'll ever retire. I can't sit still. But after what you said, maybe I will. Maybe I'll take my foot off the gas at some point and just try and get shredded or something.
There you go. Kaizen-summit.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so check that out. And then you're also an author. So you've written one or how many books?
So I wrote one when I was in Rehab, 2009. I've got another one with several publishers right now. I wrote one which is being uploaded to Amazon now. It's based on the Daily Stoic, where it's 1 page a day.
Yeah.
And again, it's that Kaizen philosophy of 1% at a time.
Right, yeah.
And then I've got one, I haven't quite figured out the title of it yet. It's like 12 principles to overcome an adversity type thing. So some of the stuff we talked about, I'm trying to put it in a logical and chronological order where someone can pick it up. And, you know, the first chapter, I haven't put it in the right order yet. It could be diet and nutrition, daily habits and routines, you know, these kind of things.
Like a real self-help book.
It is, but based on everything that I've learned in the military and life, martial arts, going through recovery, because I know it works. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff out there that, you know, I've done all of Tony Robbins' courses, right? And you meet people that have done one course and then they become a self-development guru. And they start putting books out there and it's just recycled stuff. So I'm trying to, I mean, there's only so much original content you can do, right? I'm just trying to create some stuff now which is based more on experiences, so I can say, you know, excuse the pun, but I've walked the walk. Here's the book.
100%, yeah. What's the first book called?
Man Down.
And is that going through your life up to the IED incident and then afterwards and the recovery and everything?
It's pretty much only the IED incident.
Okay.
Which is why I wrote the second one, because I was listening to David Goggins while I was driving around the country. And I really liked the way he went right back to his childhood, didn't he?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was bullied at school. I was overweight. That's what led me to teaching myself how to lift weights and train in the mid-90s, which led me to the martial arts, which led me to the military. So, and I'm going to do it like that. But then my book stops when me and Becky got married.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff after in America, what we talked about, and the Invictus, none of that's been covered. So this is going to be more like a David Goggins style book with the podcast episodes in between, hopefully, if I can do that. Because I thought the way he did that was awesome.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there you were overweight. And what sort of age was that? And you said you were bullied?
Probably 11 or 12.
11 or 12, so start of high school?
Yeah, I went from being a, you know, outdoors kid to, we got a Sega Mega Drive, and I just spent more and more and more time indoors. And I had this really bad routine where at school at 10 o'clock in the morning, when you had your break, I'd get this pink ice bun. And I didn't even realize I was putting on all this weight. And then one day I was sat in this booth in the canteen and I had my shirt on and the kind of buttons you could see through.
Yeah.
And one of my friends walked past and he could see in through my shirt and see like some side boob.
Yeah.
And I can't forget it. He just sat there, he looked in, and I'm like, I wonder what he's looking at. And he looked at me and he went, your body's disgusting. And so I put the bun down and I went to the gym, which was like a broom closet. There was a pec deck in there, a treadmill, some free weights.
At the school?
And a lat pull down machine, that was it. And a bunch of mirrors. And no one ever used it. And I locked the door, took my shirt off, looked in the mirror, and I'm like, damn, that guy was right. I really got like fat. And so I just, right there then I picked up some weights. I didn't know what to do. I just started bicep curling because I've been watching Arnie videos, right? So I'm like, yeah, this will do. And then it was time to go back to class. So I threw my shirt on and, you know, you could feel a little bit of this pump. I didn't know what it was. And so I just started going to the gym at lunchtimes. And I have no idea. I used to have to save my dinner money up. And then at the end of the month, because the internet wasn't really around in the mid-90s, and all that was on the shelves in the newsagents were bodybuilding magazines with Dorian Yates and all these monsters on it. And I'd pick them up and I'd read them. And I'd try and learn, you know, latissimus dorsi, trapezius. I'm like, what does any of this mean? And then look at their training programs and try and copy them in the gym and just figure stuff out. And I liked the way physically it made me feel. But then what I could never figure out was normally when I go back to lessons after lunch, you'd be flagging, a bit tired. But when I was training, I felt energized. And I'm like, I feel sharper, like in my mind, and I could concentrate better. So I didn't really have any goals. I just did it.
That's quite interesting. So it was a snide comment off a pal.
Yeah.
Made you
I don't even
put the bun down and go to the gym.
I don't know why. Like I could have just went, thanks, mate, and carried on eating my bun. But something just made me get up and.
I think because we're all human beings at the end of the day, and you know when people say things like that, they can cut deep, and if you're already self-conscious about things, a snide comment can really tip you over the edge. So, but it's interesting because my bullying came from my brothers.
Oh, did it really?
Mainly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the only way to get back at them is to be better than them in sport. So that's
super successful in business and
yeah.
Do it all.
Yeah, I think obviously we're just way past that stage of competing with each other now. Yeah, but yeah, in primary school and high school that was my competitive thing. You know, it was my brothers, all the bullying and punching and kicking. I can honestly say, hand on heart, I don't think there was a single day that went by in my childhood where I wasn't punched in the face,
really, or
I threw a punch. Yeah, not a single day. It was quite a rough upbringing.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because you know when you have kids of your own, right? There's part of you that goes, I hated that, and I never want my kids to go through that because of the way, you know, you used to walk around a corner in school and be terrified that you bump into bullies all the time, and you were always in a state of anxiety and you hated it. And then again, because all my mates were older, if I got in fist fights, it's with all the older kids. And I was no good at fist fighting. They would just come and, you know, I remember sitting on a set of railings once outside the maths corridor. This guy just came out, boof, just clocked me and walked off. And I'm like, it's horrible, but you never want them to go through it.
Yeah.
But then the other side, you're like, well, I learned a lot from those things, and you know they're quite valuable lessons. But I couldn't stomach having my kid go through that.
It's a tough one. I mean, I'm in the same. My boy's 13 as well, and there's some things that I don't know. He's got a very cushy life, and sometimes I wish to myself, I wish he'd have the odd fight. You know, I wish he'd experienced that bit of. I mean, he's had his fair share of bullying, to be fair. But yeah, I think life experiences. The world's different now. That's the problem. It's all intellectual. It's all online bullying. That's the main problem. Yeah, it's not so much in the person. So we're definitely a different world. But yeah, you're completely right. I mean, sometimes you want your kids to get in these fist fights, but then you're also thankful that they're not and they're safe.
But what's great is, and we've done this before, Mason, haven't we? I take him sometimes to Jujitsu. It's a safe environment, but you can still experience that horrible, helpless, drowning feeling of another human being being superior to you, whether it's physically or strategically in Jiu-Jitsu, without getting hurt.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And that's the reason why I keep drowning my son in the pool. Every now and again, just let him know who the boss is.
That's it.
Just get him in a headlock, give him a nuggie.
You're lucky we haven't got a pool, Mason.
Dead arm, hold him under the water for 5 minutes. No, like 10 seconds.
It's all for his benefit.
Yeah, it is all for his benefit, indeed. So these events you're doing with reorg, I mean, you mentioned like climbing Mount Everest, which just seems insane for a normal.
I haven't climbed Mount Everest.
No, I'm just saying, like, for a normal person to do that, and you're on about trying to get people to do this as part of the real charity. I mean, just got a list here of some of the challenges you've done in the past. You've done a 5K run on your prosthetics.
Yes.
Is that with the kangaroo feet?
Yep.
Yeah. So a 5K run.
Yeah.
Fuck my life. I mean, I can barely do a 5K run.
No, me neither.
No, but you did it.
Yeah.
UK wide cycles and walks. So what have we done for them?
All right. So just a bit of context. When I left the military in 2010, I was part of a team and we ran across America from New York to LA. It took us 3.5 months. And it was my way of still keeping physical fitness as part of my identity, but also raising money for charity. And so I worked in this organization for 10 years and I left in 2020. And I forget the exact timeline, but in between lockdowns and things where we were allowed out for certain bits and pieces, I decided to go for a run with my coach, Ben, who was a former Royal Marine as well. And there was a park in Plymouth. It's just like a circle. And I think it's exactly 800 meters around. So we could easily map out a distance. And I hadn't ran for ages. And it was just like a, blow out the cobwebs type run. So we went for 2K. And I got to the end and I was pretty tired. And I'd lost my concentration. You've got to concentrate a lot when you're running. And I slipped, ended up in the front splits, crushed my nuts.
Oh, fuck.
But then got up and just finished the last 100 meters. And someone was filming it all. And we uploaded it because I'm a big fan of uploading the shit as well as the good stuff. And it caught the media attention. Someone asked me what I was doing. And I said, I'm just training. And I was raising money for Real at the time. And so I just kind of said flippantly, if I can raise £5,000, I'll run 5,000 meters. Thinking that if I did raise £5,000, it's going to take about 8 or 9 weeks of pushing, through social media.
Yeah.
And I did the interview in my office, which is in my garage. And then I walked back to my front room and I had 68 grand in this kitty. And I'm like, holy shit. So I
you
literally
got to run this 5K.
I did one more training run that week. And then went to an athletics track to do the 5K run with that no training. And my prosthetics were completely jacked up. They weren't aligned. They weren't tuned up. The rubber sole had half worn off. They were at just a shit state.
Yeah.
And so it was just this ugly, clumsy, horrible bounce around a track however many times it was through this 5K. And they got to the end of it and the BBC live streamed it. And so I think by the end we had 140 grand.
Fucking A.
And that was it, right? I thought that's it. But my friends are assholes. And so on TV, one of them said, we're going to do a swim next. And I'm like, brilliant. So where we live in Plymouth, there's a little island called Drake's Island. And there's a set route from the island back into the mainland. And it's 1 kilometer and it's open water. And it's weird because there's these 3 tidal points that meet. So there's a whirlpool thing that gets created. So we ended up saying we were going to do a 1K open water swim. And prior to doing that swim, I'd tried to apply for world records before. And I got told there were no disability categories. So I thought, okay, how is my situation advantageous to me, but a disadvantage to anyone else? And I started looking online for swimming records and seeing if there's anyone that had swam 1 kilometer open water with just one arm, and there wasn't. Someone had chained their ankles together before, some guy in Portugal, and swam with 2 arms. So I went, okay, cool, we'll do this. We'll raise money for it. We'll try and break a world record. It took me 3 attempts, but we took the fundraising to about 250,000, maybe more. And we managed to bag a world record doing a 1 kilometer open water sea swim. And then I thought I was done. And then it was at the point where Reorg were branching out and they were going from the military into the emergency services. Yeah. And I've got a specially adapted hand bike. So I thought this was genius in terms of marketing, but no one else seemed to agree. I said, I'll do a 99.9999 emergency services bike ride, mile bike ride to raise money. So we did that. And this is my fault because I let my friends do most of the planning because I was busy working. And we started in a place called Ilfracombe. And it's a 6.5 mile climb out of Ilfracombe. And it was a 25.5 hour bike ride. The elevation was more than Mount Everest by the time we got back. We got back at 6 o'clock in the morning. but it took the fundraising up to about 600,000, I think.
Wow.
And then I thought I was done. And then Reorg decided to do what we call a rollathon. So it's 24 hours of jiu-jitsu. And we connected with 54 different academies all around the world. And we had a projector up. They all connected via Zoom. So we spent 24 hours just training jiu-jitsu. And it was gross. Like, I've done a few 24-hour events before, and they're not nice.
An hour is horrendous.
Yeah.
Never mind 24 hours.
But being awake that long, like the hallucinations and just everything just drains out if you've done it.
Yeah.
And that kind of finished a year off. And then we ended up, I can't remember what the fundraising page is at now, but with offline stuff as well, it's like 850 grand or something.
Incredible, mate. So essentially, I mean, it's a group effort, but essentially one man raised 850 grand.
Yeah, definitely a group effort.
Yeah.
But we're just trying. I want to take it to 1 million if I can, because I just need to make it neat and tidy.
Of course.
Get it to 1 mil.
Has to be a round number.
And then, I mean, you very kindly support me on this. Then I decided to strap that Ford Ranger to my back and try and break another world record by pulling this truck 100 meters with my little legs.
Yeah.
Failed the first time. All my own fault. You know, the area that we did it in was on an airfield. It wasn't the best. We went straight across this airfield, and in the middle, it kind of dips down where the drainage is.
Yeah.
And the front wheels went in. I just couldn't get them out. I didn't look at the area until the morning of it, because it was in Essex and I live in Plymouth.
Yeah.
So then I redid it again on that same track where I did the run in Plymouth, and it was a lot easier on that flex track. I managed to do the pull, but Guinness said because I stopped to get my breath that it
eliminated.
But the record doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So technically, anything I do, I'm setting it, right? But they went, no, you stopped. I'm like, okay, I'm not going through all this again. All this paperwork and garbage. I pulled a 2.5 ton truck, 100 meters, raised some money, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then that was it. So that was the last physical thing that I did.
I remember you pulling that truck. And I shared it on social media. It's fucking incredible, mate. And to pull a 2.5 ton truck 100 meters, no easy feat.
No, it sucked.
I bet it did.
It's just
how long did that take you?
17 minutes.
Fuck
it was brutal.
Me.
But my ass cheeks, it's
I
just
can
pure
imagine.
glutes.
Yeah.
Like constantly.
So something like that would take me
3 seconds.
Blow my own trumpet. It wouldn't take me very long.
Right.
Yeah, I'd probably do it in a minute.
Right.
Let's say a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't. That's like maximum effort. So maximum effort is 17 minutes. Your glutes and everything must have been on fire.
It was screaming.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these truck pulls and plane pulls at World's Strongest Man. They're only meant to last 60 seconds because your body can only give so much for so much time. So 17 minutes is
it's like, in computer games where you see their energy meter going down. That's what in my mind, that's all I could see was it was going down and down and down. And I thought, it's going to get to a certain point and I'm going to fail it. And then you just start screaming at yourself in your head. Just whatever it takes just to get those front wheels over the line. And then I just knew that was it. I'm never, ever doing anything like that again.
No, fair enough. I'll tell you a little secret, right? So World's Strongest Man. So this is what I learned very early on in the game. You know, like they see us pull planes on World's Strongest Man and stuff. Well, there's no human on the planet that can pull a plane.
Okay.
There's just not. So the way you do it is exactly like you said. It's like it starts with a very slight downhill and then it evens out. So and that's the only way to get a plane going.
Right.
It's the only way to do it. So that's that's how they sort of, and then it's who can pull it the furthest before the inertia stops. So just you were talking about that little dip in the yeah.
But I did find that out, and that's why the running track was easier.
Yeah.
Because it was perfectly flat.
Yeah.
And I found it easier to get started.
Once you get things moving, it is just keeping that pressure on, which is still hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as I say, there's no human being on the plane. We pulled a plane in 16, 17 that was like something like 80,000 pounds, like over 40 ton. And there's no way on this planet a human being can pull 40 ton.
That's crazy.
So yeah, there's always tips and tricks to.
I'll tell you what was funny.
Those things.
You know, when you shared the video on your Instagram, it's something that I've never really experienced before. Is the fucking assholes online.
Oh my Jesus
Lord.
Christ.
I was reading the comments and everyone's like, yeah, but he's cheating because his legs won't hurt. And I'm like, oh my God. And just people giving me shit. I'm like, there are some real assholes in the world. You must get that a lot, right? Of people just giving you shit.
I've given up reading the comment section. I usually just post something. I won't look at it again.
I think I need to
can't.
start doing that.
Yeah, that's what you have to do because it's just so full of twats these days.
I know but I've never really experienced that before. Normally, it's just people saying nice things.
No,
and I was like,
no.
holy shit.
Yeah, you open yourself up to the general population of the world, and they're just there's assholes everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing I've found over the years is you just can't please everybody.
Oh no way.
It's like, let's say you're worth £1 million. Let's say you give 10 grand to charity, right? Half of the comments about, oh, that's amazing, that's very generous of you, and then the other half would be like, but you're worth £1 million. Why have you only give 10?
Yeah.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, let's say you're worth $1 million and you gave your entire net worth to charity. So you give $1 million to charity, right? Half the comments would be like, oh, that's so generous. And the other half would go, you're a fucking idiot. What a dickhead.
Yeah.
So there's no winning.
Right.
There's no fucking winning. That's what I found over the years. You just cannot win.
Gotcha.
So just don't read them.
It was, some of them were quite amusing because I can kind of take it. And the thing that got me the most is that everyone, with me, it's always the same shit, right? Like if I'm posting some gym video, yeah, but bro skips leg day. And it's like they always think they're the first person to say it and that they're funny. That you can imagine them sat in their mum's basement going, I'm so funny. I'm just like, no, mate. Yeah.
You're laughing at them. That's the thing. They're not laughing with them. What's next for you then? Where's the charity going? That's growing and growing and growing, isn't it? The reorg.
Yeah, Sam's a phenomenal guy.
Is Sam the main man, the main front man for the reorg charity?
Sam is the founder.
He's very active, isn't he? He's always trying to. It's like every day of his life, he's pushing that charity out there.
Yeah, he's everywhere all the time. Like me, he's always in a car or a van, driving all over the place, promoting, doing seminars. It's undeniably his passion. Yeah, like what he does, and he does a phenomenal job at it. I mean, I'm not involved in the day to day. I'm a trustee. I get involved in certain bits. But yeah, Sam's definitely leading the charge with that, and it's going from strength to strength.
They've done like a collab on an energy drink, haven't they?
With C4.
C4,
yeah. We've got the it's called Spine Grapple, so it's pineapple.
Spine Grapple.
The flavour. And that's one of the things that he does. He collabs with a lot of these really successful businesses because they all seem to get his vision about it and they love what it does and who it helps. We're a little bit of a victim of our own success in that, we've got like 120 people on a waiting list now, and it costs £1,000 on average to support people through our programs.
Right.
So the fundraising is constant. You can't ever take your foot off the gas with it.
Just for those that don't know what the reorg charity is, talk us through what that program would entail.
So it's a charity for serving military, retired military, and members of the emergency services who have suffered physical or psychological trauma as a result of their service. And we use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as like a recovery vehicle, if you like. Now, you have to go through a system and it's means tested, but if you qualify, you go on to what's called the Reorg 60. So we will find a academy, Jiu-Jitsu academy in your area. I think we've got over 150 now we're affiliated with around the world. And we will connect you with that academy. And we will pay for your first 60 days because we found out through science and research that that's what it takes to form a new habit.
Yeah. If
you then pass that 60 days, you have to check in every time you train and let us know how you felt before, how you felt after, all these things. Then you will graduate to the Reorg 365 program where we fund that entire year of your training. By the end of that year, you're pretty much in that world and you're probably not going to stop, even if you've got to pay for it yourself. And then we're looking at developing further into things like expeditions. So you might want to climb the Everest or something and bring other people with you, and then you mentor the next guy or go through the system. We've got studies with several universities at the minute proving the effectiveness of what it is that we do. Collaborations with tons of companies who are in the health, fitness, jiu-jitsu world. And it's just great. It's just great to see. It's almost like I said about the Invictus Games, when you see someone on day one with low self-esteem, maybe post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, whatever it is, and then you see them timidly come into this new community and understand that, in jiu-jitsu, it's not about getting the shit kicked out of you all the time. People in that community are very respectful and they're all there to learn, and you develop this new community, you learn these new skills. As you're progressing through it, it's like you talked about earlier with dopamine and endorphins. You get a little bit of tape on your belt, and it's just a bit of tape, but the endorphin release is phenomenal because you know you've progressed.
Yeah.
And then you just see them go all the way through and competing and just become different people.
Amazing. So the real charity is, in essence, paying for people that have gone through the PTSD and the army, the emergency services, you said as well.
Emergency services as well, yeah.
Getting them to go to jiu-jitsu for 60 days and then encouraging them to go for a further year.
Yeah, and we fund it all.
And funding it all.
Yep.
That's incredible. And then you're putting these events on, like climbing Mount Everest.
That's the next phase of the charity, to give them almost, if you like, a leadership role and a mentor role. So that's the next phase of their recovery, while helping a person at the earlier phase of their recovery. So yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm super grateful to be part of it. It's given me a lot.
Good.
Yeah, it's given me a lot.
Very rewarding for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. I've never asked you the question. Obviously, we've talked about everything you've just been through, but how is your mental health? Like the life you've had so far, how is your mental health? How is it going through that transition of losing the arms and legs and coming back? You ever suffer? You ever had depression, anxiety?
I don't think so.
No.
I've never been diagnosed with it. I've never.
I mean, the fact you told me you've only broke down in tears twice over the.
I'm like a very low maintenance person. I think I like my idea of happiness is going home on a Friday, closing the curtains, getting a pizza, laying on my front room floor and watching a movie.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I don't need a lot to be happy. And I think very early on, again, I didn't set out to do this intentionally, but I just started to understand the power of gratitude.
Yeah.
So, and that's like the antidote for me to depression and stuff like that. And things do get rough, right? Like I spend a lot of time on the road, traveling all around the world like you do, away from friends and family a lot. I do a lot of it on my own, so it can get quite lonely.
Yeah.
But I'm always building as well, and I've always got goals still, so I'm always moving forward. And I just don't really, when I say I don't give myself space to feel those things, it's not like I am consciously aware that they could creep in and I'm doing it to keep them at bay. I'm just living my life, and it's just never been a thing.
Again, you're just forward thinking.
I think so, yeah.
Always forward thinking. There's no time to stop and.
Yeah, but not in a destructive way.
Yeah.
Like in an empowering way.
Yeah, I know. 100%.
You know, I think someone told me once, right, one of my physios, that trauma is like alcohol, and it amplifies who you naturally are. So if you're a dick and you go out drinking, you're going to be a bigger dick. If you're the love guy who hugs everyone, you're going to do more of that. They said trauma's the same. It amplifies who you are naturally. So I think about this a lot, and I think, well, maybe this is just who I am naturally, because like I said, I can't explain why I think the way I think or any of this stuff. And the trauma's just amplified it. So, you know, depression, anxiety, all that stuff, it's just never really been a thing in my life. I just kind of, I'm always looking forward to whatever next,
yeah,
you know, whatever challenge or opportunity there is.
Have you got any regrets in life?
I don't think so.
That's an amazing thing to say. Like, well, how old are you now? 40?
42 tomorrow.
To sit there at 42 years of age and say you've got no regrets, it's a very powerful thing. I think you're very lucky to be in that position. Yes. I don't have any regrets. I think if you could go back in time and do anything differently, I don't think there's anything I'd do differently. Here's a question for you then. As horrible as it may sound, if you could go back in time, just before you stepped on that IED,
nah.
You wouldn't?
No. I don't think.
You wouldn't change it?
I genuinely mean that.
You wouldn't change it. You wouldn't step on. So you would. If you go back in time to that moment, knowing the life you got now, you would still step on it.
Yeah.
That's fucking incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I don't say that. It's not false bravado bullshit because the people are listening. I've thought about this a lot, and people have asked me this over the years. And honestly, no. Like my life, I look at my life now and going back to gratitude, and I'm grateful for everything that I've got. I live a really good life. Like I wouldn't be sat here now talking to you if this had not happened to me. I'd just be some boring ex-Marine from Plymouth, you know, living a regular life probably. And I've had so many opportunities, I met so many cool people and so many cool things. And it excites me to think of the future now, of all the other things that are going to happen in the future. And I take a lot of opportunities when they come. You know, it's one of my biggest faults, I think, is I think I should say no to more things, but then my instinct says, no, you got to say yes to a lot of things because you never know what's going to happen. And I don't have any regrets about any of the things that have happened in my life. You know, everything I think teaches us something. And without getting too, you know, spiritual, you know, it's all kind of preordained. You know, I think I was the guy that stood on that IED because someone somewhere knew that I could handle it. Do you know what I mean? That's why it happened.
Fucking incredible, mate. Incredible. There is the good old saying, everything happens for a reason. And I'm a big believer in that.
Yes.
And I think, as you say, you got home from that, recovered, married your wife, had another 2 children on top of the one you already got. And who's to say that would have happened if you hadn't stepped on that mine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of knew the path I wanted in my life to take if I had got out the tour in one piece. And I think my life would be very different had that worked out. So I'm just grateful for the journey that I've been on and where it's taken me to.
Incredibly powerful, mate. I think to sit there and say those words is very inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and talking to us like that. Is there any words of advice that you would give to anyone out there suffering with mental health, going through a tough time in life? Anything you'd say to that person right now?
There's a lot of things I'd say to that person. The first thing is, and this is something that it irritates me a little bit about people, is I think that we have forgotten what we're capable of as human beings. We're like the most adaptable creatures on the planet. And, you know, we always, I think, put people on pedestals. You see these people from the past and these famous examples, and people go, oh, I could never be like that. Oh, they're so lucky. I think when you strip it back, they're just people that set goals, determined, they have confidence, and they make tons of mistakes, fail loads, but just keep on going. The formula is not that difficult, but we forgot what we can do, and people just kind of don't have that confidence in themselves anymore. So I wish more people would have that self-belief and that confidence in themselves, that as daft as the stuff they want to do sounds to other people, you know, they can go out and achieve these things if they want to. And then I think what you said earlier, like, just go to the gym. Just keep it simple. If it's to do with your mental health, just get up, go lift some weights, go run, go walk, go be in nature, go do some cold water therapy, whatever your thing is. Just go and do that. And don't get sucked into this average, mediocre, coast through life mentality, you know, and just get to 80 and be like, yeah, that was okay. You know what I mean? That was not too bad. Probably could have done better, but, you know, didn't believe in myself enough. Yeah. Just go out there and just do it. And who gives a shit if you fail? You know what I mean? That's what I think everyone's afraid of, is not just failing, but people judging them and laughing at them. Yeah. I just honestly don't give a shit anymore about any of that. I don't care.
Fair enough. I think you touched on it a little bit earlier about like people falling into this normality of life, like working a 9 to 5. As soon as that 5 o'clock comes on Friday, they're just done. That's it. Go piss the wages up the wall. And I think that's where people like me and yourself differ, is that 9 to 5 is not a 9 to 5. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's and that's the difference between a sheep and a lion.
Right.
As obnoxious and as arrogant as it might sound, it's just the truth. You know, you've got to break those boundaries and push yourself hard.
Are you listening, hard. Mason? This is what I tell him all the time. Mason's got his own little business online that he's building, and I've told him it'd be boring as hell sometimes.
What's this online business, mate?
It's a little fashion.
I do a little bit of reselling.
He does some reselling.
Reselling?
Yeah.
Cool. So what you're doing, buying stuff in and...
Yeah, buy it for cheap and sell it for better.
Buy it for cheap, take better pictures and sell it for better.
He did it. He bought a Ralph Lauren top the other day for £9, sold it for 25 the same day.
Fucking
I mean?
bang on.
I told him, like, don't get stuck in a 9 to 5 mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you can build your stuff now.
You do 20 of them a day, you're making a lot of money and you're breaking that mold.
He's got stocks and shares, ISAs and everything, you mate.
Have you,
He's already starting early,
13.
mate. He's starting early to escape the matrix.
Escape the matrix. That is the one.
That's it.
Escape the matrix. Right then, Mark, that is it.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me up and for the opportunity, mate. It's been a great day. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. I think I'm more than one thanking you for the opportunity. Thanks for making yourself so vulnerable and talking about all your your highs, your lows, experiences, and where you are today. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, mate.
Right then, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. That is Mark Ormrod. That is one of the most inspirational interviews I've ever done. And a man that's just got the mental resilience of titanium. I've never known a man that just plods on and does what he does with no looking back and just keeps plodding forward and smashing life. And you've got to think of, like, put yourself in his shoes. Like, I know myself being in that position, I would have folded many times over. And someone like Mark to come along and just prove to us what mental power, mental resilience, what it's all about. So I hope you all took something from that today. Hope you can all improve from that, because that's what the essence of Mark Life is about. It's about what you have right now and what you can use to be the best version of yourself for tomorrow. So thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to check out the other episodes. Don't forget to check out Mark Ormrod on his social media as well. The @handle for your Instagram is @MarkOrmrod. Okay, so go give him a like, go give him a follow his journey. He's got a YouTube channel as well. He's got a documentary on there called No Limits. So go and check that out and give it a watch. Pretty cool. And yeah, keep being awesome, everyone. And I'll see you next time on The Good, The Bad, and The Beast. Big love.